And good afternoon, everyone, on a very hot afternoon in Shepparton. Welcome to Deakin Reserve, the home of the Goulburn Valley Football League, the big arena in the Goulburn Valley area for the grand final this afternoon between Shepparton United and Echuca. It's probably too hot for football, much like the VFL game yesterday, and I'm sure that by the end of the day we're going to see some very, very tired footballers here. Rod, it's certainly the hottest grand final in 20 years that I've experienced since being involved in the media in football.
Exactly, Don. Yes, we've never had one this hot. We've had it somewhere around 25, 26 degrees, but not round about 30 or 31 degrees as it was in Melbourne yesterday. And I think we found that in Melbourne, Carlton, the fitter side and the fresher side, won. And I believe that that's perhaps all there is between these two teams today in the big one, the big game between Shepparton United, who are in their third or fourth, is it, successive grand final, and the boys from Echuca, who are pretty fresh because they've only played that game a couple of weeks ago.
We're going to have a look and see who are the stars of the sides being played here today in the senior game. Meanwhile, the RAAF band on the outer side of the ground is assembling, ready to come onto the ground as soon as the second 18 match finishes. And this is the first time that we've seen the RAAF Central Band here at the Goulburn Valley League Grand Final. The lineups for the teams today, the senior team, sees a number of star players in both sides. We have the Echuca side from the back line, and these are the lineups that we've selected. Probably Chris will suggest there'll be a few changes, but the back line is Bennett, Gavin Kenner at the fullback position, and Peter Simons. The halfbacks, David Bruns, John Jones and Glenn Douglas. The centre line sees Simons, Ray Smith in the centre. He's the former Tongala player, and Greg Manane on the centre wing position. The half-forward line is Alan Ogden, Wayne Delidio and Paul Brown. The forwards, Brereton, Jones and Kenner. The followers will be Jason McKay and Jeff Berry. The rover was named as David Long, but we know he's out of the side, and Mark O'Mahony there on the interchange bench. Chris, you might be able to give us the details of what's happened there with David Long.
Yeah, well, apparently I was talking with Jeff Berry in the rooms earlier on. He said that David Long had suffered a stress fracture, I think, to his foot. So Mark O'Mahony gets his chance to come into the side. In the second semi-final, Mark started on the bench, but I believe today he would have been given a task to either wear Dean Patterson or Craig Blizzard, so he will play out of the back pocket. And the way that Echuca has their roving setup, both rovers follow their men from the back pocket onto the ball.
Right, well, let's have a look at the stars of the Echuca side. They've been performing very well later in the season. There's Jeff Berry, the coach of the side at 30 years of age, a former Kyabram player, recruited from Kyabram, and of course represented the Victorian Country Football League in 1984 and 85. And I'm sure very pleased to lead the Echuca Murray Bombers into this final today.
One of the great players for the Echuca side is Brian Doc Kenner, who of course won the Goulburn Valley League Best and Fairest Award last year. 26 years of age, a gentle giant, one of the most respected players in Goulburn Valley League football. And Chris, you've played with him in Goulburn Valley teams, a great man.
Yeah, he is a great player, and apparently his fitness this week has come up somewhat. He's been down through knee and back problems this year, but he'll be one of the characters in the game today that's going to be tested with the heat, because I don't believe his fitness is properly up to it. But nevertheless, he'll be out there, and not a man to be underestimated. He is a Morrison medalist, and he'll be doing his little bit for sure.
One of the best players in country Victoria today is Tony Jones. Tony Jones, who at 30 years of age, the assistant coach of the Echuca Football Club, recruited from Tongala, where he's been playing and largely responsible for a couple of premierships at Tongala. Represented the Goulburn Valley on a number of occasions, and of course represented the Victorian Country Football League in 1983 and 1986. Has played 18 games only with Echuca, that's this year of course, but a magnificent player in country football, and certainly is almost always selected at centre half forward when the BCFL select their side, and he will have a big say in Echuca's grand final performance here today.
Well, he's got his brother here in John Jones, who's a little younger than Tony, and of course was a great amateur player, captained the Victorian Amateurs to victories on a couple of occasions, and he also came across to Echuca this year. In fact, he's residing in Echuca from Tongala, another player who's going to be a very, very important link in the defence of that side. And Chris, Jason McKay, only a young chap who'll get lined up in the first ruck. What can you tell us about Jason?
Well, apart from the fact that Jason's a very good player, he's only 19 years of age, but his form this year has been particularly good. It's going to be an excellent contest, I believe, between big Ross Sidebottom from United and Jason McKay, and for sure Jason will play well today.
Came up through the Echuca junior ranks, and he's certainly going to be a great player. Wayne Deledio. Well, Wayne Deledio, at 31 years of age, another of the veterans of the Echuca side, has played 50 games, formerly with Kyabram, of course, was recruited from Kyabram in '85. Went to the Murray League and won the O'Dwyer medal in the Murray Football League as an excellent player, and I think we'll probably find him on the back line today, and will be one of the experienced players that are going to keep it right up to Shepparton United. Great player, Wayne Deledio for Echuca.
One of the most exciting young players in Goulburn Valley League football is young Paul Brown. He's only 18 years of age. He's the second-year apprentice electrician, and the Geelong Football Club already have him signed up so he can avoid the draft. I believe that he may even go down next year and play with Geelong. Saw him in the rooms. Probably has to put on a little bit of muscle if he's going to play league football, but this boy, very, very exciting, and I like the look of him very much. What can you tell us about the experienced Ray Smith, Chris Smith? No relation, of course.
Well, Ray, of course, is an ex-Tongala player, but he is an experienced player. One of the players that does always put in for 4 quarters, and he certainly won't let Echuca down today.
Let's move on to David Long, who unfortunately is not in the side today because of his injured leg. So David, well, I'm sure a former Kyabram player, was looking forward to being in this one today for Echuca, but we got the message today that David is not able to play. Gavin Kenner is another player that plays particularly well for the Echuca side. Well, there's the score at this stage. Shepparton 19-13, 127. Shepparton United 16-13, 109, as the second 18 game is petering out to a finish. They've been playing just over 30 minutes, as you can see up there. And as we mentioned before, Gavin Kenner is another one of the stars of the Echuca side at 27 years of age, has played 177 games and was recruited from Echuca Thirds.
Well, we'll have a look at the United players in profile and the team as selected a little bit later, but we'll go back to the studio for clear commercial commitments, and we'll be back in a few moments for the Goulburn Valley League Grand Final.
And the Shepparton Football Club has won the second 18 best and fairest. The boys out there on the ground with the camera showing you Wayne Garner, the captain of the Shepparton Seconds. Very, very pleased indeed to see his boys get up and have a win. Meanwhile, at the other end of the ground, Shepparton United have come onto the ground for the big game this afternoon, and they'll be lining up shortly for the presentation of the best and fairest. Meanwhile, the presentation to be made of the cup for the second 18 in the Goulburn Valley Football League. Shepparton United are on the ground, as you can see them running around there, ready for the big one. And now Echuca coming out onto the ground, being led by Brian Doc Kenner. The very big banner that they have up there with the Murray Bombers, Blast Them Bombers, in 1987. And very good to see the big banner up there too. There's the Echuca side coming through the banner as we now see the RAAF Central Band coming around. And whilst their presentation is being made and the band getting into position, let's have a look at the Shepparton United side as the way that they're going to line up today. Greg Hall, Richard Warburton and Bruce Fuller, the back line. The halfbacks, Mario de Santa Anna, Matthew Stevens at centre halfback and Mark Limazani. The centre line will be Stephen Ralph, Gary Kiddo and Chris Ford. Moving on to the half forwards, we have Kevin Hicks, Chris Woodman and Greg Snering. The forward line will be Dean Patterson, Wayne Ford and Ross Adlam. The follow is Ross Sidebottom and George Trionitis. The rover is Craig Blizzard. The interchange, Dallas Turlick and Marcus Spencer. Chris, you see that's how the boys are going to line up this afternoon?
Well, I think everything looked pretty well right down to the half-forward line. I've got a suspicion that they might start Marcus Spencer on a half-forward flank. For mine, captain of the side, he started to find a bit of form last week and they can't afford to have him off for too long. So whether or not Hicks or Spencer starts on the bench, we'll know in a few moments, I suppose.
I thought that maybe they won't run 3 big ruckmen on the ground all the time too, so maybe Adlam could even end up on the bench as he did last week.
That is a chance, that's for sure. But I suppose conditions today are going to make it better for the little fellas. The big fellas are going to be tested, of course, with the heat and this breeze that's coming from the north. So there's a chance maybe Adlam will start on the bench and they might have a smaller player in his position.
Well, let's have a look at the United players in profile. And, of course, we commence with Richard Warburton, one of United's greatest sons, one of their most favourite footballers. Richard Warburton is the present coach of the side, has only left them for a short period of time when he went out and coached Congutna, but he's back now coaching his beloved Demons. At age 29, one of the most experienced players on the ground today, and it will be a great tribute to Warby if his team can come up today and win their 9th grand final.
Captain of the side is Marcus Spencer. Marcus, the son of the famous Jock Spencer, at 26 years of age. Quite a light player, and on his day can be devastating on the half-forward line, recruited from Shepparton East, and of course has represented the Goulburn Valley Football League. And Jock, as they call him, will be very pleased to lead the Demons at this big game this afternoon.
Craig Blizzard, a former coach at the United side, and Chris Smith, I'm sure you'd be interested to comment. I saw Craig last year with his leg in plaster and didn't believe he'd ever play football again. And it's a great tribute for this chap to come back and play the way he has.
Yeah, I must admit, I went looking for Craig about an hour ago, I suppose, and I really wanted to shake his hand and wish him all the best because he has, I suppose, suffered both mentally and physically over the last couple of years in his stint as coach of United. And I think it's a marvellous comeback for a man who's been down and to be once again playing in well, it's his 3rd grand final in a row, and maybe today will be his day. So
well, he started
well done,
started with Lemnos, went out and came to United, then went out and coached Katandra, had success there, back in the Goulburn Valley League. Gary Kiddo, another one of the stars of the Shepparton United side, plays in the centre, absolutely devastating on his day, can kick both feet, and has represented the Goulburn Valley Football League from 79 to 87, has been an excellent player, and I'm sure that Gary Kiddo will be a very important cog in Shepparton United's performance today. At 27 years of age, he's played 179 games.
Another one of the former United players to come back to the fold is Chris Woodman. Chris played in a premiership side with Shepparton United several years ago. He then went down and had league experience with Melbourne, then went into state and has come back to the fold again here with United. A fair amount of experience as Chris, 31 years of age. He's played 35 games with Shepparton United. One of the big ruckmen who I believe that they'll be running Woodman, Adlam and Sidebottom probably from the bench for the best part of the day, but another vital cog in the United lineup.
George Trionitis is a player that left United earlier this year to try himself in Tasmania, but actually he came back to the United fold and is a very important player with him. At 25 years of age, he's already played 153 games, recruited from the thirds, and is one of the tough nuts to crack in that Shepparton United side.
Chris, I know you have a great deal of time for Ross Sidebottom, one of the great ruckmen in the league at the moment.
He is one of these fellas, I suppose, a bit like a Don Scott, if you like. Not terribly tall, but a real goer. He's got a heart as big as an ox, and I suppose he's carried a lot of the weight on those broad shoulders of his for United. And yes, a man to be respected, and you know, because of his excellent performances over the years. Right,
well, here's the Channel 6 helicopter coming into land right here at on Deakin Reserve, and it has the Morrison medalist on board in Peter Gittos, and Peter will be coming across to receive his medal. Looks like they didn't like to land in that particular position, so the pilot has decided to do a few little aerobatics, has now landed on the hallowed turf. And no wonder it was one-sided. It's got the league president, Barry Conley, in it. And Barry Conley and Peter Gittos will alight from the Channel 6 chopper to come over and have the Morrison medal presented to the best and fairest player in the Goulburn Valley Football League. There he is, Peter Gittos, coming over with the Premiership Cup. And Barry Conley, as they've been hovering upstairs, just waiting for the presentation to get underway, and the crowd clapping now as Peter Gittos walks across to the official presentation area. We have the RAAF Central Band lined up, as well as the players of the Shepparton United and Echuca football clubs, and in just there's the chopper taking off now as they leave for the official presentation part. Always great to see the chopper in action, and whilst they get on with the presentations, let's have a look at some more of the Shepparton United players that are going to be starring this afternoon. Kevin Hicks, we mentioned Ross Sidebottom before, but Kevin Hicks is the next player to talk about, because at 23 years of age, has played 82 games with the Shepparton United Football Club, and was recruited from the 3rd 18. He won the Patterson Medal in the Golden Valley Football League 3rd 18, and a great player. He's a rover, and certainly his highlights in his game has been a win in the Patterson Medal.
Very exciting young player on the wing today is Stephen Ralph. Get a good look at this chap, because I really do like him. Did go down to Carlton some couple of years ago and had a run with their under-19s. He's 20 years of age. He's played 39 games with the Shep United club. Very exciting player. The younger brother of great back player for United over the last few years, Gary Ralph, who's been playing up in Queensland this year. But Stephen Ralph, very, very talented player.
Another one of the new recruits for the Shepparton United Football Club comes from out in the dairy farming area of Katandra. Well, Katandra have certainly produced some excellent players to come into Goulburn Valley League. Ross Sidebottom, of course, is one of them. But Wayne Ford is an exciting young player. You'll watch him this afternoon as the number 1 on his back. And he, at 18 years of age, has a big future in front of him in Goulburn Valley football. And in fact, I think probably would even possibly have a league future, Rod.
Well, I believe he does have a league future. In fact, very interesting to note that the coach of my team, Footscray, is here today in Michael Malthouse, and he's come to have a look at the players. I don't know who he's looking at the moment, but I can assure you that Wayne Ford would be one player that I'd be looking very, very closely at, as well as a couple of Echuca players, although, as I mentioned, Paul Brown's already been spoken for. But he is a very exciting young player, and I think he's got a great future. I saw him for the first time representing the Tungamar League last year, and he's come a long, long way since then, as Wayne Ford. And I can see that he has, as I say, a big future, and he could go even further than Goulburn Valley League.
Well, the 2 medals that have been presented at this stage, they're Francis Lee of Rochester receiving the Abacare medal for the best and fairest in the 2nd 18. And the 3rd 18, of course, was Michael Gardner from Seymour, who received his medal, the Patterson medal, for the 3rd 18 best and fairest. Peter Giddos, of course, is the Morrison medalist for 1987, and Peter Giddos played a magnificent season for Kai Abram.
The umpires in charge today, we have one, of course, representing the VFL and one umpire representing the Goulburn Valley umpires. We're very pleased to say that for his 2nd year, Wayne Byers is the umpire for the Goulburn Valley Umpires Association. Wayne has earned that because of his reputation in the league, and it's always a big feather in the cap for the Goulburn Valley boys if they can get the big one, and of course this is the big one, the Goulburn Valley Grand Final. He, of course, will be joined by David Howlett, who umpired the VFL preliminary final last week, gave that very controversial decision where Melbourne lost it after the bell. The boundary umpires will be Kevin Boyler, who's had a lot of experience, and Tim Story, both very good boundary umpires. And the goal umpires, and these boys always vie for the grand final right from the very first game of the year. And today, the boys who have got the nod are Bob Harvey and Leo Pye. Congratulations to them. I think that they have actually umpired previous to that, Don. So
yes.
That's a pretty experienced group of players.
It's a very good lineup this afternoon, and I'm sure that Wayne Byers will enjoy umpiring with David Howlett. He was telling me before the game that he hasn't run with David Howlett as yet, but I'm sure we're looking forward to it this afternoon. But of course, they're going to find it just as hot as the players are. Well, we mentioned before, of course, Chris Smith has been here the last 2 years, but Chris, it certainly hasn't been as hot as this over the last couple of years. How is this going to affect the players?
Well, for anyone that's lacking any sort of condition at all, they're going to be found wanting maybe late in the 3rd quarter. You know, it depends on what sort of tempo they've had in the game, where they've played. But I mentioned before the likes of Brian Doc Kenner. Now, he's been a person that hasn't had a lot of miles in his legs of late, so a big man, a hot day. If he opts to do a little bit more work today than normal, he's going to find it difficult to sustain the full 4 quarter effort.
I see some of these boys are perspiring already. I've got the glasses on them, and it is very hot out there. It's probably somewhere around about 34 or 35 degrees. And when these boys are used to playing in something like 15 to 20 or maybe 22 degrees, it really is going to test every one of them. But anyway, we're almost ready to go here, and while the national anthem is on, we'll cross back to the studio and be back for the bounce. We're just about ready to go in the 1987 Goulburn Valley League Grand Final. Shepparton United and Echuca have won the honour of representing their teams here today, and we really are going to see a tough match. There's no doubt about that. The RAAF band moves off the arena, and things are just about ready. To those people who missed the earlier scores, the thirds was won by Shepparton, 15 goals 13 to United 7 goals 7. And in the reserves, Shepparton also had a victory, 19-14 to United, 16 goals 13. And so far, not a terribly good day for United, but they're hoping for the big one, of course, here today.
Right, I just picked the boys up coming off the bench. Chris, did you see, I think, young Schneering?
Yes, Schneering and Turlick on the bench.
Schneering and Turlick on the bench for United.
It appears that David Bruns is also on the bench for Echuca, but I didn't get the other person. It might be Stephen Oliver.
Yes, I think it is there. Stephen Oliver on the bench. There's Neville Brereton, the team manager in front. Bob Allison, the former coach of Echuca, in the box with the Brains Trust of the Echuca Football Club. Meanwhile, we're all ready to go in the 1987 GVL Grand Final. Umpire Wayne Byers and umpire David Howlett in charge in the centre of the ground, with Leo Pye and Bob Harvey waving the flags. Kevin Boyler and Tim Scorey are the boundary umpires here today. And we're just waiting for the three medalists to complete their lap of honour, and we're all on the go. Here's the medalists as they come around to complete the lap of honour. Peter Giddos, Francis Lee, and Michael Gardner. And congratulations to them. Well, we're all set to go, and Wayne Byers has allowed David Howlett to take the first bounce. And they're all ready to go. David Howlett looks towards the skipper of the United side, checks it out with the skipper of the Echuca side, and we're all ready to go for the 1987 Grand Final. See a runner out on the ground already. It's just picking up a pair of sunglasses that somebody dropped, a cameraman had dropped. There's the siren, and they're all set to go. Umpire David Howlett comes in to bounce the ball. Terrible centre for bouncing the ball too out there. I had a look at the other day, and nobody's able to get the actual knockdown, but it was picked up very well by Jason McKay and got forward. But can Shepparton United get the ball back? Here's young Limazani, Mark Limazani, in for his first grand final, but the free kick goes Echuca's way to be taken by Big Doc Kenner.
He's the big fella now, Doc Kenner, just forward of centre for Echuca. The usual big kick from him up there looking for the forwards, but very nicely marked in defence was Bruce Fuller. Very experienced player now, Fuller. Played a number of grand finals. And umpire Byers says, you've infringed, laddie, and he says, play on. Advantage rule as they come forward through Matty Stevens, a young player with a lot of responsibility on his shoulder today. And racing towards is John Jones, who's come out from back line, and John Jones goes for the boundary line safety first at this occasion, and we wait a boundary throw in front of the Duckett scoreboard, which at this stage, after 30 seconds, reads 0-all.
I think that these boys are going to have to pace themselves. There's not going to be a lot up in the first quarter because they know that they've got a long, hot game ahead of them, and I'm sure that we're not going to see a tremendous amount of ability shown early in the game because they know that it's got a long, long way to go, and it's out on the outer side of the ground on the half-forward flank on the outer side to be thrown in by the boundary umpire. In ruck for the Echuca side is Big Doc Kenner. Up against him, Gary Kiddo's gone over from the centre ruck roving. The big number 25 over there for the Shepparton United Football Club, of course, is Ross Sidebottom, the big fellow. It comes to the ground, and the umpire's going to pay. No, Wayne Byers says that he had it held to him, and he's going to bounce the ball up on the outer side. Wayne Byers with the ball now. Bounces it. Kenner's in ruck, so too is Sidebottom, leaning on each other. Sidebottom got the tap down. Matty Stevens looked like was in there, but nobody could get the ball out, and the free kick pays play on, says the umpire, as George Trionitis breaks away for Shepparton United. Bad kick by Trionitis. Ray Smith tried to handle it for Echuca, couldn't do so. Up towards the United goal it comes, and we'll see who's going to come out with it. Looks like it probably will roll over the boundary line and out of bounds, and the throw-in to take place in the left forward pocket.
Comments from Chris Smith, a pretty typical opening to a grand final. A lot of scrambling football at the moment with the players being fairly nervous.
Yes, I just note that Marcus Spencer did start in half-forward flank. He's been picked up by Glenn Douglas. So, as I suggested earlier, you can't keep the captain out of the game.
No, that's very true. And the ball now just over centre line for United. Could have been a kick paid for kicking in danger there, but Berry gets the ball forward nicely, looking for his forward now. The umpire sees an infringement. And it's going to young Paul Brown from Echuca, and the big punt kick from Brown looking for his forwards. Up they go. Kenner's in there, and will he accept the mark? Yes, he has been paid the mark. Big Doc Kenner put the big arms up and says, I'll have it, fellas. And the big Echuca Dairy Farmer has the chance to put the first score on the board here in this 1987 Grand Final. He's got to score something, and he's almost dead in front on the slight angle, only some 30 metres out from goal. And the Morrison medalist of 1986 has put it through, and there it is, the first one on the board, and it's a manger, and of course it goes to the Echuca Football Club. And you think that this is where Doc Kenner may spend a good part of the day, Chris?
Yes, wouldn't mind having him in my side, Doc Kenner, particularly down there in the forward pocket as he is at the moment, although he's come up the ground already a couple of occasions to compete in the ruck. But the big hands of Doc Kenner in that forward pocket going to be of huge value.
Well, he's not the most reliable kick, Doc Kenner, but as you can see the way there, he's lined it up and put it through. There was no problem about that, and he's been able to put the first score on the board. We've lost a football very early in the match. It's cost the Goulburn Valley Football League another $50. It was apparently kicked right out of the ground, and there's some spare footballs over here at the PA van right on the edge of the ground, and boundary umpire Kevin Boyler comes along to retrieve another footy.
So lost one in the seconds too, Don, so that's the second one gone.
Yes,
today.
It's an expensive day. There's umpire Dave Howlett once again with the ball in the centre of the ground, with Echuca putting the first major on the board, and umpire Howlett comes in to put it on its way once again. Gary Kiddo in the centre. McKay is in there in ruck. Side bottom gets the knockdown. It's Pack emerges on the ball immediately. I think we might see a fair bit of this afternoon, but umpire Byers has picked a free kick out of it, and it's going to go to young Dean Patterson for the Shepparton United side. Patterson's kick for a good long one up into the forward pocket, not finding anybody. Wayne Ford came out there, number one, but the Echuca back line is desperate. Here's a chance for Omani on the outer side of the ground, and it's once again rolled over the boundary line.
Omani must be playing in the back pocket, is he, Chris?
Yes, Blizzard obviously is resting in the forward pocket, and you'll find that Mark Omani will wear Blizzard for the day.
Yes. Okay, from the ruck line, side bottom gets the tap. Omani can't handle the ball, and in fact nobody seems to be handling it terribly well over there, and it'll probably go over for another boundary throw-in as we wait for Kim Scory to put the ball back into play. The crowd, I would say, would probably be the smallest crowd we've seen here at Deakin Reserve for several years for a grand final, probably mainly because it's so hot, but otherwise because there's only 3 clubs participating in the first, seconds and thirds. The ball's kicked over the centre line for Echuca as they go forward again. Bruce Fuller's been caught, and Doc Kenner dumps him unceremoniously, but good play from young Limazani coming out of the defence. Sees his player in Shepparton United lose the ball in the centre of the ground. Or player went in hard was Trionitis. No one can pick it up, and the umpire David Howlett is going to ball it up once again.
Well, they're really going to try these umpires out today, Rod. They're falling on top of the ball. It reminds me a little bit of yesterday's game in Melbourne, where we're not seeing a lot of fast open play on football because they're so desperate and the side's taking a while to settle down. There's a good knockdown by Chris Woodman, picked up by Trionitis for United, driven forward, and a fine mark in defence by the Echuca Football Club. It's been picked up over there by Glenn Douglas. Douglas has marked well, but he's fooled around with it a little bit. He's out onto the back flank. It comes. It's been kicked away by John Jones up towards centre. Oh, beautiful mark by Wayne Delidio. That's the mark of a champion who came forward and took that, plays it on towards the half-forward line. Who's in ruck? Johnny Jones is at. It's Tony Jones there, and it's brilliant taking the mark.
Waiting now for Tony Jones to take the kick. There's the kick from Tony Jones, and it has gone through for a goal. Beautiful kick from Tony Jones. And that's the second goal on the board for the Echuca Football Club. Good start there to Echuca, the Murray Bombers. And the ball back in the centre of the ground. We're waiting for umpire Wayne Byers to put it forward. Been playing almost 10 minutes of football. 2 goals, plays near to score, and there's been an infringement, and it's gone United's way with its big Ross side bottom with the ball. There's the kick from Tony Jones. From Sidey up there looking for his forward, and all gathers it in nicely, but loses it to Spencer. Push in the back. Here comes Hicks, the Terrier, and he blazes away at goal, and it could be the first major on the board, and it is for United. Great play there from the Shepparton Stock and Station agent in Kevin Hicks. And that's the first score on the board, and they move to 1 goal, playing Echuca's 2, and just about 9 minutes of play gone so far in the Goulburn Valley League Grand Final. And good effort from Hicks there, Smithy.
Yes, magnificent effort. Hicksy, left footer, always a dangerous goal sneak, and he'll have to be paid very close attention by his opponent today.
Well, the ball coming back to the centre of the ground. 2 goals straight Echuca, 1 goal straight Shepparton United, and umpire buys it is with the ball in the centre. Well, there's plenty of trainers running around with drink bottles, and they'll certainly be needed by the end of the day. There's the bounce down. Side bottom got it down. Here's a chance for Kiddo to get the ball away for Shepparton United, but it was smothered. Well done by the Echuca defence, and once again the players fall all over the ball, and the umpire is going to come in and bounce it down. Umpire David Howlett with the ball. Comes in, bounce high it goes. Jason McKay up against side bottom. Nobody can get it out. Jeff Berry was in there. Dean Patterson kicked it out for United to Chris Ford, and Ford has kicked the ball right into the forward line. Here's a chance for the other forward in the side. It's Wayne Ford, who runs around brilliantly, gets the ball to Patterson to the full forward position, and a free kick is being paid to Shepparton United to young Stephen Ralph.
Well, there's a kick from Ralph. Oh, disappointing kick from Ralph too. He had every chance. He ran around. And I just don't think he took enough time about it, Chris.
No, certainly not. The best advice you can give any young player in the grand final is for the first couple of touches, go back and have your kick. And he wanted to play on. Admittedly, he put it on the left boot and took the chance, but it would have been a much better result, I'm sure, if he had have taken his time.
Well, the kick coming out from full-back, and it's right into the centre of the ground, but United going forward again, and here's Trionitis streaming down the field, the Golden Greek. He's had some football over in Tasmania this year. It would have been a bit cooler over there today. And the free kick eventually goes United's way, rather Echuca's way, and they're going for the boundary line to John Jones, who just keeps the ball in play, and he kicks it up into the centre of wing in front of the packed grandstand here at Deakin Reserve, and it goes eventually the ball out of bounds, and we will await a throw-in right on the centre wing. 2 goals straight to Echuca, 1 goal, 1 to Shepparton United. A very, very hot day at Deakin Reserve, Shepparton. And getting the kick off the ground there was Ray Smith, the former Tongala player. And eventually Matthew Stevens comes in, a very talented player. I tell you what, he's a player that Nick Malthouse could be looking for here today.
Too late.
Yes, I believe it is too late. But Jeff Hall eventually gets the ball over, but Gary Simons, another very young and inexperienced player, but a lot of talent, this young player for Echuca, and he puts the ball back in the centre half forward position. Doc Kenner's got it. Doc Kenner loses it. Play on, says the umpire. Eventually, it's picked up there by Rowan Johnson for United, and Doc Kenner comes in again to pass it to Delidio, and Delidio's kick goes offline as Jeff Berry can't quite gather the ball in, and we await a throw in on the right forward pocket position for Echuca. Well, there's no real ascendancy either way, Chris, at this stage from either team.
No, typical of a grand final. They're both in there having a go, and it's going to take a little time before things start to pan out. But certainly both teams looking pretty good.
Here's the chance for United for Echuca to force the ball through up there in that forward line. It's over on the outer side of the ground in the right forward pocket position. Big Doc Kenner is there. Umpire Howlett having a talk to Blizzard. And the free kick goes Blizzard's way with Kenner on the mark. He's bringing him back a little bit too, as Blizzard will clear the ball away from the Echuca scoring zone. There's the kick on the outer side. Up goes Kiddo. He's been paid the mark. Good player, Kiddo. One of the stars of the Shepparton United side. There's the kick by Kiddo. Not the best at all, because it's found young Paul Brown, who's taken a very nice mark in the centre of the ground. Brown boots Echuca forward. And the Murray Bombers scored. Up goes Big Kenner. Couldn't pull the ball down. Playing it on in front of him. Through comes Omani. Here's a chance now for Echuca. Picked up by Alan Ogden. Driven towards goal. But in the last line of defence, it's big Ross Adlam. And Adlam has taken the mark. Hand passed away. Warburton, the full-back, the captain coach of the side. Warburton kicks it out. Round half-back flank. Looking for a player. And he's found him beautifully over there in Marcus Spencer. Spencer drives the ball, was smothered, and he's certainly copped one for his piece too. A beautiful elbow to the head did Spencer cop, and he'll be a pretty sick and sorry boy after that, I should imagine. Meanwhile, the ball's over the boundary line and out of bounds.
Just having a look at Spencer, and I think he'll be okay, but he copped one badly there. Maybe the needle that Spencer wants, that he needs to really make him get right into this game. Boundary throw in, Kenner's in there and goes to Omani. Side bottom is pushed out of the way and he's going to receive a free kick. Big Ross Sidey, the boy from Katandra, and great Goulburn Valley League footballer is side bottom. Kick from Sidey up there into the centre position. They set themselves, almost marked beautifully, but Woodman sharks it out of the pack. He can't get his kick in. Eventually, Limazani's hand pass over into no man's land. Good kick off the ground by Jeff Berry. It's all a Echuca here. Murray Bombers players everywhere, and it's Raymond Smith who gets the ball up into the centre half forward, looking for his forward in Tony Jones. But Jones can't handle it, and the ball is rushed over the boundary line right near the point post, and we await a throw-in. The scoreboard says Echuca 2 goals, United 1 goal 1, and we wait the throw-in. Echuca attacking on this very hot day before only a medium-sized crowd at Deakin Reserve Shepparton. Kenner the tap, and a beauty too, but it's nicely taken away by Bruce Fuller, showing a ton of experience is Bruce, and the speedster's wanted on this occasion. It's beautifully done by Gary Simons. A hand pass over there to Rowan Johnson. Johnson gets the kick after a sandwich, and the umpire says it was illegal. Chris Smith, I'd like your opinion on that one.
Yes, unfortunately, I had the pole between me and the action there, but it was definitely an infringement, and I thought when it happened, the way he went down, they'd have to pay the kick downfield, but Ogden's got it. He's on the...
Yes. Here's the chance for Alan Ogden now to put the ball right into the teeth of goal for Echuca. Here's the kick by Ogden. It's going across goal. Who's getting underneath it? The big fellow's looking for it. Warburton takes away for Shepparton United. Out towards half-back. No United players around, though, and it rolls over the boundary line and out of bounds. 2 goals straight Echuca, 1 goal, 1 Shepparton United. And we've been playing 15 minutes into the first quarter in a game that has taken the players some time to settle down. Not getting used to this heat. How's it going to be in the last quarter? Up they go. Side bottom gets the knockdown. Dean Patterson comes out with it with Shepparton United to Trionitis. Back to Patterson. Up towards centre wing. Woodman gets underneath it, but Brown, once again, magnificent in the air, has taken a fine mark for the Murray Bombers. Gee, he's a great young player. Brown boots the ball up towards the Tony Jones direction, and Jones is 2 metres in front of Warburton, and eventually takes the mark and has the chance to kick a goal. He's getting in front there, Chris.
Yes, and they're going to look for Tony Jones on every opportunity. Interesting to note that Paul Brown's taken a couple of marks in the centre. He's actually playing off a half-forward flank, yes, but occupying that kick behind when the ball comes out of his own attack very well.
Here's Tony Jones coming in now to kick the ball towards the Echuca, and I think has missed. 1 behind only. That's Echuca's first behind on the board, and so Echuca go to 2 goals, 1 goal, 1 United. It's a 1 goal advantage to the Echuca side.
Well, I don't know whether you could say that one team's settling down any sooner than another one, but it's pretty even football here at the moment. As Hall, who kicks out, saving Warburton's legs by the sound of it, and he goes over to the half-back flank, and the umpire's seen an infringement, and it's going to go Shepparton United's way, and side bottom takes it with a hand pass, and there's the kick down from Chris Ford over where it's nicely repulsed by Echuca coming out of the back line, and there's the kick back into the centre of the ground, and a couple of Echuca players spoil one another there, and one of them was Delidio, but very good play from Ray Smith, who spoils it by kicking into the man on him, but Delidio with the chance again. The hand pass over to Gary Simons. The clever play onto the left foot goes Simons over there, and it's nicely hit in, but it's Fuller who's there for Shepparton United. Fuller dodges, goes for the kick up into the centre position, looking for Kiddo, I would say, but here's Woodman there. He has it punched away from him in fine style. Berry can't pick it up. Trionitis is in there, and nicely pushed away there by Chris Woodman. Hicks has it. He's dodged. He's been caught, and umpire Byers says, yes, Hicksy, you've had it too long, and we'll wait for the free kick to come for Echuca, probably going to Greg Manane. Murray League supporters would know Greg Manane pretty well, the former coach of Strathmerton.
Here's Manane's kick right into the centre of the ground for Echuca. Ogden was in there, tried to break his way through, couldn't do so. Craig Blizzard there, number 20 for Shepparton United. So too is side bottom, but the umpire said he's going to have it and take the bounce in the centre. It's a pretty hot day here at Deakin Reserve. Side bottom, and there's 2 great ruckmen, side bottom and Kenner. Neither of them got it away, but Ray Smith picked it up out of the pack. Shot it forward towards Greg Hall for Shepparton United, and Hall kicks the ball back, and it's going to go over the boundary. No, it's not. It's going to just keep in. Can Ralph get it on the centre wing? No, it's over the boundary line, and Kevin Boyler will throw in.
Chris, there's one player I've noticed in the last few minutes in Gary Simons. Looks the goods, this boy.
Number 31,
yes,
number playing 31. On Ralph. Two very good players, actually, both speedsters, and as you mentioned before, Stephen Ralph, a player to watch. But I thought he should have punched when he attempted to mark from behind just before.
Well, the ball now on the Shepparton United half-forward line, but gee, the Echuca defence is strong. And there's Peter Simons coming out from defence, and he doesn't like what's happened to him there, and he and Patterson are having a few words. Meanwhile, the ball up in the half-forward line. Oh, there's a Echuca player definitely should have received a kick, and that was John Jones.
Tony
Jones, rather. And rather foolish play on that occasion by young Jeff Hall, because he manhandled Jones, and there was no way, knowing that Jones was not going to get a kick. It looked like, Chris, that they've put young Hall onto Jones, which to me is a rather strange move.
Well, I'm not sure whether that's true. If it is true, it's quite peculiar, but
Hall kicked
was
out
on
before, and Jones is at full forward. Beautiful kick. Makes no mistake about it, does Tony Jones. Former great Tongala player and Goulburn Valley League representative, moved over to Echuca this year, and is one of those players who's been instrumental in Echuca's rise to the top of the ladder in this season. Another great goal, Chris.
Yes, it was. I mean, if you're going to kick goals, you kick them from the grandstand side of the ground, with the wind being the way it is today. But I noticed Warburton is playing on Tony Jones, so it might have just been circumstantial, the reason why Hall kicked out before.
There's the bounce down in the centre of the ground. Up go the big fellows. Adlam's in ruck there for Shepparton United, but it's been booted away towards the Echuca goal. De Santa Ana was grabbed when he didn't have the ball. Play on, says the umpire, as Matthew Stevens kicks them forward, and Marcus Spencer takes the ball out on the half-forward flank position. He'd be 55 metres out from goal, and he's decided to go for the short one, and has found the Shepparton United player up there in Georgie Trionitis on the half-forward flank over on the outer side. So strange to see everybody in shorts and shirts and thongs out here at the football. It's like a cricket match. There's a chance for Trionitis to put the ball through, but a fine mark in the last line of defence has been pulled down by Big Doc Kenner for Echuca. Doing work all over the ground is the big fellow. There's the kick out. Who gets underneath it? Big Chris Woodman, the former Melbourne player, back with Shepparton United again. The free kick goes to John Jones. And the Jones boy boots it back down centre wing. Up goes Brown. Oh, that's the third mark he's taken. Really stamping his name on this particular game. Number 25, the champion for Echuca. Boots the Murray Bombers forward, half-forward flank. Who gets underneath it? Tony Jones. Warburton is there. It's in front. Hall couldn't pick it up. Comes out to Delidio. Snaps. And a goal. Good play by the Murray Bombers. Well picked up and using his experience there, Chris.
Yes, magnificent play by Brown, actually. You can see the advantage in the long kick, but Brown's marking is a particular feature of the game to date. But, yeah, Delidio rove the ball, put it onto his wrong foot, and another major for Echuca.
Very adaptable side, Echuca. I mean, Delidio certainly made his name as a back man as well as a forward, and he can play anywhere. But at the moment, he's doing pretty well at centre-half forward, and that's going to be a real danger position there for Shepparton United. They've got young Matt Stevens on him, only a youngster, and a very big responsibility. Umpire David Howlett with the ball. We've played 24 minutes into the first quarter in this very hot grand final, and Echuca looking good at the moment as Kenner gets them down to where Alan Ogden is in the band for the ball. Oh, he cops one for his trouble too, and could have perhaps been a drop there from Tony Jones, but the umpire says play on, and it's been kicked back to the Johnson position, but Hall in the last line of defence for United gets them out of trouble momentarily. But coming through in fine style there was Greg Manane, as we see the ball over the boundary line, and we await a throw-in just on time on in the first quarter. Running a little late here at Deakin Reserve, probably about 15 minutes behind time actually, but that seems to happen in grand finals. There's the big punch away there by Ross Adlam. Haven't seen any changes from the bench so far from either side. And Rowan Johnson there with the ball by the looks for Echuca.
Can be very dangerous on the forward line. Roddy kicked 4 goals in the second semi-final. Was instrumental as Echuca getting on top of Shepparton United in that game. So he's a good kick for goal, and see what Johnson can do. There's the kick coming forward in towards the goals, but it's gone offline. We'll wait on the goal umpire's decision. It's one behind, and the free kick and the kick to be taken in by the Shepparton United. Well, it's a very hot day here at Deakin Reserve. I'm sure that some of the greats we have up here in the grandstand haven't played football in this weather. We see the likes of Fredo McMahon that played 300 games for Tatura here in the grandstand. Ray Manley, the former Melbourne general manager. Graham Wood, also the 200 club players here and enjoying the game, but by gee, it's hot weather. Well, here's a chance for Echuca now.
I can see Echuca holding the ascendancy at the moment. I think United must be pretty worried at the time because at this stage Echuca are definitely playing the better football. Delidio is now leading them a dance at centre half forward, and he's just shot through for goal. But John Jones let that one be shepherded through for a minor score as Echuca go on to 3 goals, 3 to Shepparton United, 1 goal, 1. And Chris, this last half of the first quarter, it's been all Echuca.
Yes, they've certainly gained the ascendancy over the last 10-12 minutes, but United seems to have a little bit of a problem at the moment in trying to check Delidio at centre half forward.
Yes.
2 goals to Tony Jones, 1 each to Brian Kenner and Wayne Delidio, and for Shepparton United, Kevin Hicks has been their goal kicker. Here's the kick now from Ross Adlam from half-back for Shepparton United. Up towards the half-forward line it goes. Wayne forward, brilliant. Gets the ball over to Kevin Hicks. Hicks boots it. Oh, shocking kick by Hicks. In towards side bottom. Side bottom back to Spencer. Spencer fires towards goal and has put it through. Well, he finished up flat on the ground. I don't know what happened to him there. Chris, did you see it?
Well, he seemed to slip at the last moment. He was, you know, when he went to have his kick, he looked a little bit wrong-footed for mine, but it went through, so who's to argue how
Actually, I
he
thought
got it there?
it was great play by Sidebottom, Chris, because he was running away from it. He took his time in gathering in the ball, showed plenty of experience, shot the hand pass out to Spencer, giving Spencer the opportunity to goal.
Yes, well, I suppose we can give that one to Sidebottom in that instance.
Well, the umpire has the ball in the centre, and in this occasion it was Adlam who got the kick down there. Omani couldn't get rid of it for Echuca. Big punch away again by Adlam, but it's been picked up by John Jones, solid as a rock in defence, up to his teammate in Ogden. He's racing along with the ball there with De Santarana, who played a great game in the preliminary final, but neither of those players can attract the ball to them, and we see the ball over the boundary line, and we wait a throw-in. Be interesting to see the statistics at quarter time as part of our team here today. The irrepressible Ian Fitzsimmons, the doyen of statisticians, will have some statistics for us on the game at quarter time. The ball once again looks like it's been going over the boundary line. No, it's right on the verge of the boundary. Eventually it's been picked up by Greg Manane. His kick goes into Delidio direction, who has it handed to him on a platter but couldn't control it. And we see the ball over the boundary once again. It's about the half-forward line, right half-forward line for the Murray Bombers, who are leading United at the moment 4 goals 3 to 2 goals 1. And the boundary throw-in sees, let's see, Ross Adlam in there. So too is Jason McKay, and McKay gets it down to Smith. Ray Smith's kick forward. By gee, it looks a pretty good go in this occasion, and it was. That was a lovely goal from Ray Smith. Well, Chris, that showed plenty of experience from the former Tongala star.
Yes, well, I suppose ordinarily Ray's not a tremendous disposer of the ball. Very awkward at times in his kicking. I shouldn't really talk, but nevertheless, from that angle, a bit of a screw hook, and she went through.
Umpire Dave Hallett with the ball back in the centre of the ground. 5 goals 3 Echuca, 2 goals 1 Shepparton United. And Echuca looking pretty good. But in the second semi-final, they faded badly in the second half. Here's the chance now for Gary Kiddo to boot the ball forward for Shepparton United. Comes to the ground. Can the Echuca backmen get the ball away? Brereton is there. Here's a chance now for, well, they're fooling around with it. John Jones over to Stephen Brereton. Brereton gets the hand pass across. It comes to the direction of Gary Bennett. Bennett boots it down to the outer side of the ground onto the centre wing. And taking the ball away now, it's been kicked by Ray Smith right across and over the boundary line and out of bounds in front of the SPC sign. And we wait for the throw in again. 5-3, 33 Echuca. 2 goals, 1 United, 13 points. There's the kick back and United go away with it. Play on, says umpire Byers. Blizzard kicks the ball over to Hicks, and Kevin Hicks takes a mark in the centre of the ground. Drives the Demons forward. Getting under it was big Marcus Spencer, but he couldn't take the mark. Here's a chance now in the forward pocket position by Ralph. Ralph couldn't get it. Simons comes out with the ball. Well done, Peter Simons. Clears the ball away for Echuca.
And John Jones has the opportunity to get them away once again. Taps the ball forward. Jeff Berry can't pick it up. Oh, eventually Paul Brown puts it onto the boot from the ground, but it's Hicks who has the ball for Shepparton United, and he's coming into his own now. Sees big Ross Adlam lurking in the forward pocket, the big fellow, and Adlam takes the mark very nonchalantly and will go back on a very, very acute angle to endeavour to put United's third goal on the board. Important kick, this one. They want to be within a couple of kicks of Echuca. Here's the kick from Adlam, very deliberate, but not a good kick by the looks. Yes, it's a minor score only, says goal umpire Leo Pye, and United move 1 point closer to Echuca. The scoreboard reads Echuca 5 goals, 3-33, and United move to 2 goals, 2-14. Bad luck for Ross Adlam, Chris. It was important one for him to get there.
It was, and United can't afford to squander any more set shots for goal. That's the reason why they lost the second semi. They had 12 more scoring shots and yet went down by 8 on the day.
Here's the Murray Bombers coming forward again. De Santana gets under it on the outer side of the ground. He's going to get United back out of trouble. Here's the big show by Chris Ford. He boots the Demons forward, finds Blizzard. Hand pass over to side bottom. Side bottom to Kiddo. Kiddo up forward. Not a good kick, but he's found the United player in Chris Woodman up there on half forward. He's right on the 50-metre line. Woodman picks the short one. I don't know why he's done that, but it goes into the pocket, and Echuca get the chance to clear the ball, but it's over the boundary line on the full. And that was a bad mistake by the Murray Bombers back line, and the free kick will be going Shepparton United's way. Gary Bennett it was who kicked that ball out, and the free kick will be taken by Marcus Spencer.
Actually, I can't understand Woodman's kick. It was a very, very funny kick, only about halfway. There was no player within 20 metres when it bounced, but we'll see what Marcus Spencer, the captain of the Shepparton United team, can do, and this will be an important one for him to rally his boys, because they haven't had the best of this quarter. And looks like it's Echuca's end by the way that the people are hooraying him. And here's the kick from Spencer by Jit. Looks a good one to me. And it was. This very flamboyant, nonchalant sort of a footballer is Marcus Spencer, son of the former North Melbourne and United player in Jock Spencer. And he's rather an intriguing type of player, because quite often he goes right out of the game. But Chris, that was a great goal.
Lovely goal on his left foot. And if you're going to kick goals at that end, you've got to be on this side. That's the way United has to attack. And for that matter, it's lovely to attack that way as well.
Umpire Howlett bounces the ball in the centre of the ground. Up goes Kenner. It comes down, but George Trionitis gets it out of the centre. Trionitis up forward. Who's there? Woodman. Can he juggle it? No, he's pulled to the ground. The Echuca backliner desperate. Simons kicks it out again.
Well, he only just found the boundary then, there's no doubt about that. But umpire David Howlett says, we'll call it quarter time, chaps. And there's the scoreboard at quarter time. Echuca's quarter in the first quarter of the Goulburn Valley League Grand Final. Echuca 5 goals, 3-33. Lead United 3 goals, 2-20. We'll be back with some details of the first quarter directly after these messages from the studio. Well, here at Deakin Reserve with the quarter-time break right at the moment, let's have a look at the statistics as our good friend Ian Fitzsimmons has given them to us. Chris Smith, of course, is our special comments man here today. And Chris, very interesting. Shepparton United 51 kicks and Echuca has 56. You've had a look at some of the other statistics. Is there anything that stands out to you?
Well, I suppose one would have thought that Echuca is going to be ahead in most of those because they've had the lion's share of the play. But when you look down, the fact that United has had 4 more handballs, 5 less kicks, they've won more of the throw-ins and ball-ups, so their rucks seem to be on top. So why haven't they got the score on the board?
It's interesting to know the free kicks. 1 free kick to Shepparton United and none to Echuca. That's rather unusual, isn't it? I noticed in VFL yesterday, the couple of the quarters, there was 5 or 6 free kicks per quarter to each team, but obviously the umpires are in control of the game and it seems to be flowing pretty well.
That's how they kick the goals, right? Our statistician tells us there was 1 goal from a free kick as against nil.
Okay, I'm sorry I didn't see that there. But leading in the kicking department is Kiddo and Hicks both have 5, or with side bottom, they've all got 5 for United. Ray Smith, playing a great game, has 7, and Paul Brown for Echuca. Chris, they'd be two of your better players, certainly on the ground at the moment.
Yeah, all Ray's in the centre and doing very well, and Paul Brown is at the moment causing a lot of havoc for United. His marking ability, I think, is going to cause him to be one of the better players on the day. They'll have to, well, Limbasani has him at the moment, but they'll have to watch closely.
I noticed John Jones has 5 kicks for Echuca too, so he's playing pretty well in defence. In fact, it is a very solid defence at the moment, Chris.
Yes, I must admit, it has been a solid defence.
Well, Chris, there's not much breeze to cause too much trouble to the players, so really there's no great advantage at either end, do you think?
Well, actually, from where we sit, we don't really know what the breeze situation is, but prior to the game, it was definitely favouring the eastern end, and that was the end that Echuca was kicking to in that quarter, so I would expect there'd be a slight wind advantage to United's end this quarter.
Well, they're underway in the second quarter of the Goulburn Valley League Grand Final, and who can get the ball away? Kicked away by Big Ross, side bottom for Shepparton United. Going towards the United end, or the Skene Street end of Deakin Reserve, and Dean Patterson, the speedster, kicks it right into the hands of Dallas Turlick, who has been put onto the ground at quarter time. During the quarter time break, an absolutely brilliant player on his day, and can kick goals from all different angles, and can mark the ball beautifully. There's a kick by Dallas Turlick, and what a kick. First up in the second quarter has put it through for Shepparton United, for Shepparton United's 4th goal, and he's certainly a brilliant player, Chris.
Yes, lovely to have a player of Turlick's ability to bring on off the interchange bench, but I can't see Woodman. It appears that Turlick has gone to centre-half forward. Marcus Spencer, sorry, to centre-half forward. Turlick is on to the wing.
There's a couple of interesting changes there from United, and well, it initially paid off, of course, because that was a beautiful kick from Turlick with his first kick for the match. Berry claims the kick, and he's been claimed without the ball, and he will take it. The captain coach of the Murray Bombers, right in the centre of the ground, and there's the kick, always a very tidy one from Berry, and lovely mark from Jones. Well outpointed Warburton on that occasion, did Tony Jones, and gee, he's going to be a really important cog in the wheel of the Murray Bombers up forward. And of course, we saw some interesting clashes last week in the preliminary final with Darren Comey playing on Richard Warburton, but by Jeffs, Warburton's really had his hands full this afternoon, and Jones goals, his 3rd goal for the day, and so it's 1 goal apiece in this second quarter of the grand final, where Echuca moved to 6 goals 3, leading Shepparton United 4 goals 2. Well outpointed Warburton on that occasion, Chris.
Yes, can't afford to play Jonesy from behind. He's got to at least be side by side. He's in form. He's got good hands. That changed before. Turlick has come onto the wing. Forward has gone from the wing to full forward. Woodman off.
There's the bounce in the centre again. Coming, Ray Smith wasn't able to pick it up. Berry is in there. Here's a chance now for Brown. It was Blizzard eventually kicking the ball up in the centre. It's pretty scrambly play. Up towards half forward it goes. Chasing it on the outer side of the ground was Stephen Oliver. Boots it back towards half forward, and it's going to go over the boundary line on the outer side, being chased over by Paul Brown. Hall is there for Shepparton United, and so too is young Limazzani. Umpire, a boundary umpire with the ball. Kevin Boyler throws it in. Up goes side bottom, being held onto by Wayne Delidio, but nobody particularly can get it away. The umpire has said that somebody had the opportunity to get rid of it, and the free kick goes side bottom's way. So Big Ross side bottom for Shepparton United with the ball. Nice big punt kick by side bottom up towards the Turlick direction. Turlick in front of Brown. It comes to the ground. It's been patted out by Jason McKay, and the umpire says against Echuca, and the free kick to be taken by Dean Patterson. Patterson for United. Boots the Demons forward. Turlick in front. Over the back comes Wayne forward, but he can't get it. Jeff Berry gets it away for Echuca. Up towards the Ogden direction. Here's Ralph boosting the ball in front of him for Shepparton United. Ray Smith leading in the race for the ball, but Kevin Hicks chips in. The centre end has been grabbed far too high by Jeff Berry, and the free kick will go to Mario de Santarana on centre wing for Shepparton United. There's the kick from Cooch in towards centre half forward. Up goes, in fact, it was eventually kicked away for Echuca by Peter Simons after being missed by Big Ross Adlam. But Sidebottom again, who's really starting to show what he's made of in this game. Boots the Demons forward. Here's a chance for Ralph. Fires towards goal and is offline and one behind only. It's a bad miss, that one, Chris.
Yes, would have been a lovely goal to have got, and they've got to be careful, United. I worry about them with their kicking for goal. They've got to convert. Can't afford to waste these opportunities. That change before, it was a simple one. We made it look complicated. Turlick came on to centre half forward. Woodman went off.
Oh, right, good. Thank you, Chris, for picking that up for us as the ball comes out from a Gavin Kenner kick to Brown as it goes over into the centre wing looking for Delidio. It's tapped on nicely there, but picked up by Matt Stevens for Shepparton United, up there looking for his teammate in Limazani, and he's going to be paid the mark, is young Mark Limazani. Just out of the thirds this year, a ton of potential. And Limo has the big kick up into the centre half forward position looking for Adlam, who can't quite handle it. Hicks comes in onto the left foot, not a very long kick though, and it's defended nicely by Achuka. They go right across ground, and a player's been flattened in the meantime, and I can't see. It's Trionitis, it is.
Yeah, Gavin Kenner's dealt pretty heavily with him there, and Georgie's not looking too good. He was on the ground, and the umpire has played a free kick.
David Howlett speaking pretty harsh words with Gavin Kenner there, who Gavin doesn't seem to be terribly concerned about it for some reason. And we're going to wait and see the kick come back to Georgie Trionitis, who's been wiping his nose. Could be a bit of blood in that area. George Trionitis, number 22, not used to wearing that Guernsey. And there's the kick from Trionitis, has a chance to put it through and does so. Ross Adlam says yes, it's through, and so too does goal umpire Bob Harvey. And this is not a bad start to the second quarter by Shepparton United as they move to 5-3. Only one goal behind the Murray Bombers now, and after a fairly impressive first quarter by the Murray Bombers, is this a resurgence by Shepparton United, Chris Smith?
Well, I think it is. Unlike the last encounter between these two sides, when it took Shepparton United an entire half to get going, they've come good in the second quarter. So, and as I said, with the assistance of a slight breeze going towards their goal.
From the bounce down, it's Trionitis again getting into the game, out to Ralph. Stephen Ralph boots the Demons forward. It's knocked forward again. Here's a chance for Kevin Hicks. He's forcing the ball over the boundary line and out of bounds, and umpire Byers calls for a throw-in once again. Very hot and humid afternoon here at Deakin Reserve, Shepparton. 6-3 Echuca, 5-3 Shepparton United. The ball in the United forward line. In ruck, Jason McKay. It's knocked down for the United side by Adlam in towards the Turlick direction. He's number 11. Coming out of the pack with Jeff Berry. Nobody can get the ball away. It's a scrambly old affair. And umpire Byers has picked out a free kick, and it's going to go to Echuca to be taken by Gavin Kenner in the last line of defence. The Echuca full back boots it out onto half-back flank. Up they go. Adlam is there. No, Sidebottom it was. Couldn't take the mark, and once again it rolls over on the outer side. Most of the play seems to be on the other side of the ground. Chris, any reason for that?
Well, for whatever reason, every time teams play here, they tend to allow the ball to drift over to the far side. The attacking side's got to be the grandstand side today, and they have to purposely direct their kicks that way.
Well, it doesn't seem to be too many players attacking the ball here at the moment, because it, as Don said, very scrambly affair in this second quarter. Maybe the heat's really starting to tell on these players, and Dean Patterson's down with a bootlace that needs being done up, so umpire Byers is allowing him to do that, and the task being done. Wayne Byers now bounces it up on the centre wing position, and McKay's in there, but Sidebottom has the tap down for Shepparton United, but picked up there by the Echuca player in Ray Smith, and it's over the boundary line on the full, and in fact it was pummeled over the boundary line by Brereton, and he's going to gain a 15 metres against him because of that. And there's the kick up onto the half forward line looking for Hicks, and once again over the boundary line, as Chris Smith said. For some reason that ball seems to drift over onto that far boundary on the scoreboard boundary area, and we can't seem to get it away from there. What can we do?
Well, it's amazing, Rod. They're all over there on the outer side of the ground. Everybody's sunning themselves in the sun with bare skins, and people getting sunburnt, and they're playing football and not playing cricket. It's very incredible. Here's a chance for United. It's been picked up now by Big Ross Adlam and put through for another goal to Shepparton United. Well, it was one that United needed, and they're really getting back into this game, and I'm sure that we're going to see this game battled right out, because that makes it even Stevens on the scoreboard. 6 goals, 3 Echuca, 6 goals, 3 Shepparton United, and it's going to be a battle right to the last minute in this game, if this quarter is any indication, because I think, Chris, they seem to have settled down a bit now.
Yes, I think by now all the grand final jitters should have been well and truly out of the system, and they can concentrate on getting that ball through the sticks now.
And the ball in the centre of the ground, knocked away United's way. All coming through there was Chris Ford in fine style for Shepparton United. Or there was a push there from Stephen Oliver, unseen by the umpires, and eventually the ball comes out in the centre wing, where it's Bennett for Echuca, who puts the ball over and looking for half forward there in Manane, and he gets his kick, and he's been slung after he got rid of the ball, and he was actually out of bounds. The boundary umpire decreed that it was over the boundary, and we'll wait to throw in. Here they go. Up there is Delidio taking the knock. He picks it up with in his own hands and says, "I've got to do it on my own, fellas." And he kicks it up on centre half forward position. Oh, nicely done is Trionitis. Couldn't quite handle it. It's Stevens knocks it away, and through comes Limazani. Eventually Patterson gets his foot to the ball. Over onto the centre half forward position. Up goes Spencer, can't handle it. And big Jason McKay, the young top ruckman for Echuca, gets it to his coach in Berry. Jeffrey Berry now, Goulburn Valley League representative, coaching Echuca over there to where Bruce Fuller comes out in fine style, showing his experience. There's no doubt about that. Spencer has the ball knocked away from him on that occasion by Glenn Douglas. And eventually it's picked up by Echuca, and good play from Simons. He and Ralph are having a great game. Oh, Doc Kenner. Oh, could have been paid the mark. That was a beauty. And eventually gets it down to his teammate, and they say ball, but no, the umpire says it's okay. And streaming along there is John Jones, but it's picked up by Stephen Oliver, showing a fine turn of speed over in front of the scoreboard, and looking for his half-forward player, but no, it's Patterson to take it. And
Mark Limazani, actually.
Limazani, and Limazani had to go and collect the ball himself as we find the ball on the half-back flank for United.
I noticed, Rod, that there has been a change that we didn't pick up at quarter time. Oliver has come on to pick up Hicks, and I'd say Brereton has gone off.
Well, I thought I saw Brereton across the ground on the other side, so we'll just try and pick up who. Yes, Brereton is still on the ground. He's on Hall at the moment up there in the pocket, so we'll try and pick up who's come off. Here's a chance for Blizzard to get United away. Not a good hand pass in the Spencer direction. Spencer shoots it forward. Who's going to get it? Turlick is there, knocked away by John Jones, and that would be a fairly professional point, I would imagine, because Jones has knocked the ball away so that the United side didn't have a chance to pick the ball up and get it through. We'll wait now for Gavin Kenner to pick the ball up.
Well,
is that Richard Warburton?
Yes, he's looking a bit groggy down there at fullback.
Yes, Warburton's in the hands of trainers at the moment. Here's a chance for Echuca through Smith to get the ball in towards the centre of the ground. Limazani is there. Gee, he's doing well for the young fellow up in the Echuca direction. Here's a chance now for the Murray Bombers to clear the ball away. But once again, we find a United player in Mario de Santa Ana in the valley. They're fighting on the other side of the ground. There was 4 lots of fights there at one stage. Meanwhile, the play goes on. Here's a chance now for Shepparton United through Spencer, and Spencer's put it through. Meanwhile, on the outer side of the ground, there would be 10 or a dozen players in fisticuffs.
Ooh,
let's see it's really on over there. Big Doc Kenner is in it. There's players on the ground, and this is really going to liven the game up, with United just kicking a goal to put them ahead. And we'll wait and see if the umpires can sort this one out. Runners in it as well.
I'll tell you, the player that surprised me was young Jeff Hall. He really got into it. There's no doubt about that. In fact, he took on Doc Kenner, and that's no mean feat, I can assure you. But not very often you see Echuca involved in fisticuffs, and don't believe that for the first, by any stretch of imagination, that they were the ones who caused it. But
Umpire Byers has the book out and has definitely taken Doc Kenner's number. Now, I would think he may have been the player that was hit. So somebody could very well have been reported for striking Doc Kenner, as he was the second name in the book and not the first. Umpire Byers having a few words to a couple of the players there, Ray Smith, etc. Meanwhile, the goal has been scored, and it comes back into the centre of the ground, where Umpire Howlett is going to bounce it.
Just while the scuffle was on, Spencer had the ball and kicked a beautiful left foot goal from about 55 metres out. And that change that I said before, it's Brereton who's gone into the forward pocket, and it's Rowan Johnson that's gone off.
And the scoreboard attendant, the irrepressible Wilbur Shillington, was so involved with the fight which was going on in front of him, he forgot to put the goal up for Shepparton United. So they've actually moved a goal in front, but the scoreboard reads 6 goals 4 to United and 6 goals 3 to Echuca. And the umpire has run right down the ground. There's a little bit of nothing going on here at the moment.
I'm not sure what's happened there. The umpire Howlett ran right down and spoke to the goal umpire, and obviously the goal umpire had signalled, and the scoreboard attendant has now put the goal up, so it sees Shepparton United 7 goals 3, Echuca 6 goals 3. There's the bounce down, and it comes United's way to Gary Kiddo. Gets the hand pass out to Limazani. He's playing a great game as Limazani. Out to Patterson, another good player for Shepparton United. Runs around Oliver. Shocking kick though by Patterson, but finds Hicks. It was an up in the air one, but Hicks has got underneath it and has pulled it down right on the 50-metre mark. There's the kick by Hicks. It's not a bad one. Looking for the big flyers up on the forward line. Nobody can get it. Here's Gavin Kenner coming out with the ball. He's been grabbed, pulled aside, and a free kick will be paid Echuca's way. And the free kick eventually goes to Glenn Douglas. The United player's not real happy about that, but Douglas certainly was manhandled and received the free kick. Out on a half-back it comes. Up goes Kenner. Tries to knock it away. No, it wasn't. It was Paul Brown who got above the pack. Tried to knock the ball away. It goes back to United again. And United have certainly improved this quarter. They've found Marcus Spencer up there on the 50-metre line, and he's got the big chance to put the ball right into the scoring zone, and certainly a score should come from here. What about it, Chris? Can he get it from this position?
Well, Marcus Spencer is an excellent kick, and I'd say yes, he'll split the difference right between the big sticks.
Here's the kick by Spencer, and has put it through by the look of the United crowd. Yes, he has, and that's his 4th goal on the board today. 4 to Spencer, 1 each to Hicks, Turlick, Trionitis and Ross Adlam. And Shepparton United have certainly done the best this quarter. Chris, what's been the big reason for that?
Well, I suppose they've got a little bit more momentum going from centre-half forward. The fact that Turlick came onto the ground. I see Turlick now is at full forward. Spencer seemingly at centre-half forward. But their forward line seems better balanced. They've rotated, and they seem to be getting the ball in the air and getting the advantage out of the moves that they've instigated.
Well, United have gone forward again on this occasion through Craig Blizzard, but coming out of defence for Shepparton United was Gary Bennett. He puts the ball over into the centre wing position, finds a teammate who puts it forward once again, and this is a strong attacking move by Echuca, and a beautiful mark has been taken by Tony Jones, who's come out. Warburton's gone back onto him. There was a swap there before for a few moments. I didn't actually see Warburton sustain an injury, but he was very, very groggy there for a couple of minutes. They sent Matt Stevens back to full back, but now Warburton is back on Tony Jones, and Jones has a chance to put another big major on the board for Echuca. It's not going to get the distance, though. Up they go, and coming out is Fuller for United. He's been caught. Here's the chance for Brereton, Steve Brereton it is, who goals beautifully for the Murray Bombers to bring them back into contention. And you people over there in Echuca who haven't been able to make it, I know that you would have been very pleased with that performance by Steve Brereton. Another player to come up from the junior ranks in Echuca, and although of a fairly tender age, there's a lot of experience behind him, and he now puts the 7th goal on the board for Echuca. They move to 7 goals 3 to United's 8 goal 3, and they're coming back, Chris.
Yes, they're certainly not lying down, but lovely little snap by Brereton on that occasion.
As the ball from the centre bounce, a big Kenner gets the knockout. It's taken by Delidio. Rushing past was Berry. Berry shoots it into the pocket. Who is there getting underneath it was Tony Jones, but I think it's gone over the boundary line before anybody could take it. And we'll just wait on boundary umpire Kevin Boyler to put the ball back into play. There it is, high in the air. Up goes McKay. Here's a chance now for Shepparton United to get the ball away. Kiddo is in the van. Knockout by Kiddo. and Craig Blizzard actually kicked the ball out, and the marker's been taken, or the ball's been taken over there by Brown on the other side of the ground. Here's a chance now for Echuca's Tony Jones. He's been getting plenty of pushing in the pack by Warburton. Coming out was Delidio. He fakes the hand pass, running past for the Echuca side, gets the ball onto his boot. In good style was Greg Manane, and Greg Manane kicks another goal for the Murray Bombers. And this game has really livened up, Chris, and certainly has improved in the second quarter.
Yes, those couple of quick goals by Echuca certainly make them, puts them back in the game at least. But lovely little handball out by Delidia, who was swung around and chose his moment and spotted it right out to Manane, who selectively put it through the big ones.
Great opportunist, Manane, on that occasion. Umpire David Howlett has the ball here in 31 or 32 degrees temperature at Deakin Reserve for the big one for 1987. Up they go, and nicely knocked out by Kennedy Smith. Ray Smith, showing the experience of 2 previous grand finals, goes forward looking for a teammate in Brereton, who's just got goaled a couple of minutes ago. Snaps again, and it's not quite on target on this occasion, and Leo Pye says it's out of bounds, and we will await a throw in. In fact, it's a free kick right in the last line of defence to Richard Warburton, the coach of the Shepparton United side, hoping to lead his team to a premiership after 3 successive losses here on grand final day in the last 3 years. Trionitis with the ball. Over there to Chris Ford, and Ford streams forward up there looking for Spencer, but coming on his side bottom. Spencer's been claimed, and Echuca says he had the ball, and sure enough, umpire Byers agrees with the Murray Bombers players, and Stephen Oliver will take the kick for the Bombers and put them out of defence. Kick from Oliver onto the left foot up there into the centre of the position. Brown's been held by Limazani, got away with it though, and nowhere to go as that United player in Chris Ford. Perhaps could have been a free kick. Good play, Doc Kenner, and in fact, lovely play over to Brown, and Brown streams forward, and that was a magnificent goal from the brilliant young Echuca player. And I'd like to see that one again. That really did look magnificent, Chris.
Yeah, lovely goal by Paul Brown. He's had 6 marks, and that was his 9th kick, and we've got him down for how many? That's his first goal, in fact. But yes, Chris Ford made that mistake when he didn't take his first option. He could have got his left boot out towards the wing, but he faltered. Kenner came in, smothered the hand and ball, forced the error, and what was the result? A goal to Echuca.
That makes Echuca now 9 goals, 3, 57. Shepparton United 8 goals, 3, 51. 1 goal the difference here at Deakin Reserve as Gary Kiddo comes away with the ball from the centre bounce out into the Ralph direction, who's in a bit of trouble, taking the ball away. Well done, Echuca on that occasion. It was Ray Smith gets the ball up to the half-forward flank position, and it's over the boundary line and out of bounds.
Yeah, Gary Simons from the wing on his left boot.
Gary Simons it was. There's Wayne Byers giving a few directions there to Tony Jones, because it's Richard Warburton who actually has the ball on the outer side of the ground.
Hasn't been looking all that comfortable down there since that knock, Warby. He just looks a little bit one off the pace on Jones at the moment.
Well, I'm glad it's him playing on Tony Jones and not me. He's very hard to play against even when you're 100% fit. There's the ball coming in now. Kenner it is in ruck. Gets the hand pass straight to Chris Ford. Ford's in a little bit of trouble. Eventually they get the ball out. It's United bringing the ball forward there through Hicks up towards half-forward line, and the Echuca back line once again standing solid in defence, doing a good job, these fellows. And
Turlick's being chaired off the ground.
Oh, Turlick's got a bad injury there by the look of him. So I saw Chris Woodman coming onto the ground. He'll be replacing him up on the forward line. That's bad luck for United. Here's a chance for the Demons as they come forward through Mario de Santa Anna. Hand pass to Matthew Stevens. Stevens up on the forward line. No, it was Spencer that was there. He's being shepherded away. In is Greg Schnerring, who's come onto the ground, probably to replace Turlick. And Schnerring couldn't get the ball away, but here's a chance on the outer side for Echuca to come forward. Can they get the ball away? Oh, they're mucking around with it over there. It's been picked up eventually for the Echuca side and got out by Glenn Douglas over towards the scoreboard wing, where Kiddo and now Ford have the ball for United. Up towards centre half forward, and Wayne Ford, who we haven't seen very much of today, has come out from full forward to take a mark.
Yes, I was just about to say that, Don. Wayne Ford has not been in the game at all so far. Is possibly Ian Fitzsimmons might tell us how many kicks he's had. In fact, that was a very poor one. He's only had 2 kicks for the day. And I don't think it's altogether Ford's fault, because United really haven't been delivering the ball up there to the forward line with great precision. And John Jones kicks out from defence and finds his coach in Jeff Berry right on the boundary line in front of One Eye Hill over there at the Shepparton United Football Club rooms. Berry's kick hugs the boundary, and nicely marked there in defence by Georgie Trionitis. And Trionitis is going to centre the ball. In fact, he's going right around and kicks it into the centre half forward position, and Speedsters wanted, or Flyers wanted, and it was marked by, well, I thought that John Jones had, yes, he had possession of the ball. That Shep United player, I think it was Spencer, didn't like that, but I think it was John Jones who correctly claimed the mark. And Jones wasted no time in getting up the centre. All bad miss there by United. And Stephen Ralph coming forward onto the left foot, looking for Ford on this occasion. He can't handle it. Oh, very poor hand pass by Chris Ford. Oliver shows a ton of pace going there looking for McKay. Oh, he's copped one for his trouble, and the umpire says play on. And he's been claimed, and Ray Smith picks it up and puts it up forward into the centre half forward. Oh, almost marked there by Warburton, but Jones it is who gets away with it and will shoot for goal and puts it through. You'd have to say it was bad luck for Richard Warburton on that occasion.
Yes, it was bad luck. The bounce beat him. Tony Jones found the ball in his favour, and he had a look at the goals, had a bit of a look over his shoulder, decided that he'd take a run and a bounce. You don't often see Tony do that, but certainly the final kick was a lovely little kick that put it through the sticks.
Yes, he got a cruel bounce, did Warby, and that's not going to do any good for his confidence at the moment, because I've had the glasses on him for some time now. He does not look very well at all, Warby, and it's going to be very, very difficult to keep Tony Jones down the way he's playing at the moment.
Echuca 10 goals 3, Shepparton United 8 goals 3, 2 goals the difference, and we've played around 26 minutes into the second quarter of the Goulburn Valley League Grand Final. Up go the big fellows. It's knocked away into the direction of the Echuca player in Gary Simons. He boots the ball back onto half forward line. Getting underneath it over on the outer side of the ground was Tony Jones. He's putting in a magnificent quarter, this second quarter particularly. And Jones' kick goes in towards full forward. Up goes Kenner. There's plenty of players there. It comes to the ground. Brereton couldn't mark. Taking the ball away was Bruce Fuller. He's played quite well in defence. Fuller's kick finds Dean Patterson. He's been paid the mark on the outer side in front of the RAAF band, getting ready to come on at half-time. Bit of a shove in the back too up there in the half-forward line on the outer side. Nobody can get it. Douglas is there, but so too is Spencer for United. Spencer, number 4, over there to number 2 in Ralph. Ralph gets it in towards the side bottom direction, and Tide Bottom takes the mark for Shepparton United.
Well, there's the quick hand pass. Side bottom wasted absolutely no time there, and well done by Sidey. He's a great team man. He saw Schneering coming past. Schneering was clear, nobody within 10 metres of him, and Schneering, who's come on to replace Dallas Turlick, kicks his first goal with only about his second or third kick, and keeps United right in there as they move to 9 goals 3 to Echuca 10 goals 3. In fact, they've now kicked 6 goals for the quarter, United to Echuca's 5. So it's been a pretty interesting and pretty level quarter. We're almost on to half time here at Deakin Reserve. We've played 27 minutes into the second quarter on this very hot and blustery day. There's a cloud cover come over Deakin Reserve now, as was expected from the Bureau of Meteorology, and it could get very, very muggy before the end of the day as Spencer, the captain of the United side, comes out from the centre looking for Big Sidey once again. Or showing plenty of speed was Dean Patterson. Patterson kicks it forward looking for Ford, but it's been bundled through for a rush behind from the Murray Bombers, and Gavin Kenner will take the kick out from goal as the Murray Bombers Echuca move to 9 goals 4 United move to 9-4 and Echuca to 10 goals 3. The kick out sees Oliver streaming forward there for
Gary Simons.
It's Gary Simons for Echuca, and they go forward through Ogden once again, and pushed over the boundary line by De Santa Ana in fine defensive style by Shepparton United.
David Brunn's on the ground too for the Echuca side. Started on the bench as we wait to throw in. 10 goals 3 to Echuca, 9 goals 4 to Shepparton United. As the throw-in takes place now. Woodman in against Kenner. Woodman can't handle the ball. Hall gets it away for Shepparton United. Coming through was Berry. Brereton. Hall it is for Shepparton United. Up towards the Hicks direction. Hicks in trouble. Eventually gets it away. Ray Smith tried to smother. And it finds Snering up there in the half-forward flank. Greg Snering boots the ball over towards centre half forward. Who's there for Shepparton United? It's big Sidebottom. Sidebottom's hand pass is not a good one. Comes to the ground, and there was a Echuca player made no attempt whatsoever to go for the ball. But coming out of it was John Jones. Boots the ball in the direction of Ray Smith. There's a chance for Kiddo to get United forward. Hicks comes in, receives the hand pass. And Hicks
Beautiful pass.
Beautifully passes it over there to Chris Ford. Ford above, right across Sidebottom, and finds Dean Patterson over there at the centre half forward position. In fact, he's just off on a slight angle, and he will be kicking the ball from around about the 45-metre mark.
Chris, that's one of the best passages of play we've seen today.
Yes, that was a lovely little switch. Well, two lovely passes, and the one that eventually found Patterson for that deliberate shot was a beauty by Ford.
Patterson kicks a one behind only, and that takes the Shepparton United side to 9 goals 5. Echuca are 10 goals 3. It's almost half time. We've played right on 29 minutes of the final quarter. 9 goals 6, sorry, is the score as the ball goes out once again to the Echuca side on the outer side of the ground. And they need to get the ball up there and try and score once again before half time. Here's a chance now for Gary Kiddo to get the ball forward for Shepparton United. Up goes the big fellows. Over the back of the pack it comes. Sidebottom's in the van. Can't do much about it. It's been knocked over the boundary line by Peter Simons. And I thought he might too. I thought the umpire might pay a free, because it certainly looked fairly deliberate to me. And the free kick goes to Kevin Hicks.
No doubt about that, Don. He was deliberate. Absolutely no doubt. And foolish play by that player. However, it's not Hicks who's going to take the kick. It's going to be Snering. He obviously was closest to Simons. And he deliberately handballed that one directly over the boundary, no doubts. Well, very difficult for Snering. He's going to have a go onto the left foot. I think he might have done it too. No, he hasn't. Marcus Spencer was willing the goal umpire, Bob Harvey, into getting a goal there, but it was a minor score only. And United move to 9 goals 7, is it? I think the boys were saying that in the studio that Wilbur might be one behind there, but we'll see. However, Echuca 10 goals 3. United will call it as per the board, 9 goals 6, and the ball out in the centre of the ground as we wait with Kevin Hicks. He's been scragged around the neck, and the umpire's seen the infringement, and it's actually going to be a holding the ball against him, and it'll go to Stephen Oliver for the Murray Bombers, right in the shadows of half-time. And almost marked there in fine style by Echuca, but coming out was DeSanta Anna onto the Limazani direction. His kick goes to no one in particular. In fact, it's all green and white Guernseys there as it comes back out of defence. Omani is in there, so too is David Bruns, and he's been dealt with by a United player, but we'll wait for the boundary throw-in right on half-time.
In front of the scoreboard, the siren to go any second, I would imagine. There's the kick coming up forward for Echuca. Tony Jones in the van. There's Wayne Deludio getting a hand pass. Back to Deludio it goes. Kicks it across towards the centre half forward direction. Who's there? Ray Smith's there. Can't pick it up. United clearing well through Fuller. Over into the DeSanta Anna direction to Chris Ford. And the Demons are coming away brilliantly in the dying stages of the second quarter. But they're not going to be able to score a score of major, because it's rushed through for one behind. They moved that ball pretty quickly there. It was well done from the back line. Bruce Fuller's playing pretty well up there. They got the ball moving, and they looked good when they were coming forward. So Gavin Kenner's about to kick the ball out from the teeth of goal. There's the kick by Gavin Kenner. Out onto the outer side. Up go the big fellow. Stephen Ralph actually knocks it forward. Jeff Berry's in the van over there, but it rolls over the boundary line. So many times we've seen the ball over the boundary line on the outer side of the ground in the right forward pocket position. As the throw-in takes place, Sidebottom versus of Doc Kenner. It's kicked off the ground by Hicks, and it will go over the boundary line and out of bounds.
Well, it's half-time at Deakin Reserve, and there's the scoreboard. Echuca 10 goals, 3, 63 at half-time, lead Shepparton United 9 goals, 8, 62. Well, there's only 1 point difference between the teams, and that's about how you'd like to go in at half-time in a grand final. In fact, the scoreboard was incorrect. The boys in the studio were right, United with 9-8 and not 9-7. So there's only 1 point the difference. And although you couldn't say it's a great grand final, it's very, very hot conditions. Obviously hasn't made for top football. So we're going to see that same brand of football, I think, for the rest of the game. I think there's a little bit of a breeze sprung up. I think we could see the start of a change and a little more cloud covering the sky. Well, Chris Smith, let's have a little bit of information from you as far as your impressions of the grand final so far today. Chris, of course, is no stranger to grand finals. He's captain coached Mooroopna to 2 grand finals in the last 2 years and is the current Goulburn Valley League coach. Chris, your impressions of the game so far?
Well, I think today, well, obviously on the scoreboard, there's not a lot between the two sides, although United, and as I said before, I'm always fearful of United squandering opportunities. I mean, in that quarter, they had 12 shots to Echuca's 5, and yet they're 1 point behind. It's a repeat performance of the second semi-final. For the United supporters, let's hope that in the third quarter they can do what they did a fortnight ago and start to convert and put the ball through the sticks. But yes, there have been a number of players down on the day. Gary Kiddo in the centre for United has done a reasonable job, but still there's a lot more that he could do. His opposite number in Ray Smith has been a good player for Echuca. Tony Jones has been an excellent full forward for Echuca. Warby, as we said, is looking a little bit uncomfortable down there on Tony. In fact, I wouldn't be a little bit surprised if at half-time he gets together with his brains trust and maybe moves himself away from full back. I recall in the second semi-final it was Matt Stevens that was switched onto Tony Jones, who in the second half that day kept Tony pretty quiet. Matt, I must admit, has done a reasonable job since quarter time on Wayne Delidio, so we might in effect see a switch. Warby might come out to centre half back and Matthew Stevens go down there to full back. But United has got a little bit of a problem. Who do they put the centre half back if they take Matthew Stevens away and if Richard Warburton isn't quite up to it? Dallas Turlick we saw being chaired off the ground. I hope his injury isn't too serious, but he was one of the players that was flexible enough to play forward and defence. So United at the moment could be scratching their heads as to who could foot that bill in the key spot at centre half back should they start to switch the teams around.
So at the moment, Chris, no team has the ascendancy. It's as I said earlier, just the way it should go into a half-time at a grand final. There's no team at this very moment, you could say, is looks like breaking away in the second half.
Well, that's exactly right. I suppose if you wanted to look at the stats, we have them here. In fact,
we'll perhaps have a look at them a little later, Chris,
sure.
Because as a matter of fact, Don's down on the ground now, and he has a couple of representatives who are pretty close to each club, and he's going to have a talk to them in a few moments. In fact, I think he's got one of the Echuca representatives down there. So we'll cross down to the boundary line and Don for the first-hand knowledge from the various clubs.
Well, you've heard the thoughts of Chris Smith about the game at half-time. Let's see what the clubs think that is going on out here at the Deakin Reserve. Meanwhile, in the background, we have magnificent performance by the RAAF Central Band, and we have with us at the moment the secretary of the Echuca Football Club, Jeff Stevenson. Jeff, a former top footballer himself, I'm sure has got some ideas on how Echuca are doing. With 1 point the difference, Jeff, it's pretty tough out there. How do you feel the Murray Bombers are shaping at this stage?
Well, I think as long as we can keep the pressure on, and I don't think we're a side that can win the game by 5 or 6 goals, but we can certainly keep the pressure on, and the game's going pretty well the way we want it. We'd like, of course, a few more goals, and we've made a few mistakes and given them a few goals, but I think that if we can keep grinding them down, then the side with the legs might come out at the end, and we've proven over the last few weeks that we're pretty strong in the last quarter.
Tony Jones doing very well with 4 goals at this stage.
Very well. Richard Warburton in the past has had the stick on Tony a little bit, but I think Tony's proven today that he certainly can handle him quite well.
Now, we saw, especially in the first quarter, some magnificent marking from Paul Brown, and I guess you'll be wanting him to continue on that.
Yeah, Paul I think, is a player that could take this game apart. Only 18, but he's got to realise that how good he is, and it's players like Paul who could really just take over the game with marking, especially if he can get in front, and the goal he kicks shows that he can do it by running as well as just taking those big grabs.
Well, it's very hot out here, Jeff, and I guess you wouldn't like to be playing yourself, but how do you feel that the fitness of the Echuca players will be towards the end of the game?
Well, I think we should come home over the top as long as we've got a lead and we're in the position to win the game. The boys should be fit. They've worked very hard. They've had the 2-week break, and I think the 2-week break at this time of the year when the ground's very hard and the weather like it is, it's got to be a value.
I see David Brunn's on the ground in the second quarter. Do you think there'll be any changes at half-time?
I don't think so, not at this stage, although David's got to get himself into the game. But I think at the moment the side will probably line up as it was.
Well, it couldn't be much closer. 1 point the difference. Jeff, thanks for speaking to us. I'll let you go back with the boys.
Thank you.
All the best for the rest of the game. Gary Brennan's here from Shepparton United. Well, Gary, I guess at quarter time you wouldn't have been too happy with the way things were going, but certainly United improved in the second quarter.
Yes, Don, I thought we fought back quite well in the second quarter, but we let a few more opportunities slip. I think we could have been probably in front instead of going into half-time being behind.
One worry, I guess, was whether Marcus Spencer was going to be in form, but with 4 goals on the board, you'd be pretty happy about his performance.
Well, we're very happy with Marcus's performance so far, but I'm sure he's got a lot more to offer. There's a long way to go, and I'm sure he can go on and kick a few more yet.
A couple of your younger guys, Mark Limazani playing very well, I thought.
Mark Limazani's playing very well. Mark's had a great year, and he's showing today that he's a worthy fella to have in that side on that half-back flank.
I notice you're changing the big fellows on the bench, and I guess you're trying to protect them for later in the game. Yes,
it's going to be a long day. We're only halfway through it, and the scoreboard indicates the closeness of the game, and I think the story at the end of the game will be the fittest side.
I saw
go on and win.
Dallas Turlick being actually cheered off around the ground. Has he got a bad injury?
Yes, Dallas appears to have a pretty bad sprained left ankle, and I doubt very much will he will take part in the game.
Do you see many changes taking place at the half-time?
Positional changes?
Yes.
I don't think so, Don. As I said, the game, it's even now, and I think we'll just see what transpires in the next quarter. I think if any change is going to be made, it'll probably be in the last quarter.
Right, thanks, Gary. I'll let you go back to the boys, and all the best to the Shepparton United Footy Club. Well, there we are. It's certainly a tremendous game here at Deakin Reserve with 1 point the difference. We'll take a break and be back with more from Deakin Reserve Shepparton.
Yes.
The statistics here overall, Chris, perhaps you could comment on that. There's not a great deal in it, as you could tell.
No, I suppose on analysis you could say that the only department that United's winning, or really winning in, is in the kicks department. A lot of those, I suppose, are shots at goal that aren't being effective. So Echuca is being more effective with their road to goal. And United, for whatever reason, through pressure applied by Echuca, seems to be losing out in the final wash-up in their attack.
Looking at the ruck duels in the statistics, in the ball-ups, United's on top with 13-8, but the throw-ins, Echuca is 11-10. So really, I guess the ruckmen and rovers on each side, there's really little separating them. Yeah,
true enough, but although the stats on the screen there at the moment, maybe Ross Sidebottom is winning the majority of ball up. So, that gives them some strength, particularly if they can capitalise on the good work of Sidebottom in the throw-ups. But not to take anything away from young Jason Mackay or Brian Kenner. They too are doing their fair share. And, it's a case of getting in there and getting the ball and using the ruckman to advantage. No point in your ruckman winning the ball if you can't pick up the crumbs.
Well, it's very, very hot down there, and Don has just come back into the box, and I wonder if he'd like to put his microphone on and just give us a true indication on how hot it is down there. We're up at the back of the grandstand, and although there's no breeze up here and it is pretty warm, I wouldn't like to be down there in the sun. Don, what's it like down there right on the ground?
Well, it's very warm indeed. In fact, I look out now to see, as Ian Fitzsimmons, our statistician, just pointed out to us, that the boundary umpires are actually resting in the shade down there. That's how hot it is. And the umpires out on the ground. We're waiting for the two teams to appear back on Deakin Reserve. We'll take a break and then be back here for the third quarter. The Echuca team are out on the ground waiting for United. They must be getting a fair little
A little talking to by Warby there. In fact, umpire Wayne Byers has gone in to bring them out. Something we haven't mentioned is the goal kickers for the day. It's rather interesting that in both teams, one player has kicked 4 goals, and we have 1 goal from each of the other players. They're all 1-goal kickers. So Tony Jones has 4 for Echuca, and 1 each to Brian Kenner, Wayne Delidio, Greg Manane, Paul Brown, Steve Brereton and Ray Smith. For Shepparton United, the goal kicker, or the main goal kicker, is Marcus Spencer. He has 4. And there's 1 each to Greg Schnering, Kevin Hicks, Dallas Turlick, George Trionitis and Ross Adlam. I think while we're waiting for the United side to come out on the ground, we might have a few highlights from the studio. I think, fellas, if you've got them there, if you'd like to roll them, we'll have a bit of a look at the highlights in the first half. And that's Adlam's goal. First goal to Ross Adlam, or his only goal so far. And these are highlights from the second quarter. This is where Doc Kenner should have taken a lovely mark. What do you think about that one, Chris?
Yeah, well, I don't know whether he pulled it down, but he got his hands to it first.
It was a great try anyway, there's no doubt about that. But there was a Trionitis going through there, and Spencer, cool, calm and collected as you like. That was one of probably his best goal, that one. I love the way he took that on it onto the left foot, as Spencer can do in a very nonchalant manner, and that was a great goal. Warburton thumping it away there, and this is Echuca coming forward. And this is that was a great goal by Manone.
Lovely handball from Delidio, who was swung around, found him.
Showing plenty of experience there. Perhaps could have been a free kick. Good play, Doc Kenner. There's another one coming forward.
Yeah, lovely one by Paul Brown.
Yes.
Yeah. Got the handball, I think, from Brian Kenner.
Well, there's some of the highlights there. There's another goal for United, and their boys are just about ready to go here. So I think we better come back to live television, as that's what it's all about now. There's a huddle in the middle of the ground with Big Ross Sidebottom. As a matter of fact, an interesting comment from Tom Carey, the doyen of football writers in the Goulburn Valley, who leads the Shepparton News team, and as you know how much the Shepparton News does for football in the Goulburn Valley. He was saying that Ross Sidebottom on the ball is the very most important thing, and when he goes off the ball, United are definitely lacking. But we're all ready to go in the second half of the Goulburn Valley League Grand Final, and umpire David Howlett has the ball. Sidebottom is in ruck, 1 point the difference, and we're looking forward to a great finish here. I think it might be slightly cooler than it was in the first half. Oh, one of the umpires is over. It's David Howlett, and he was knocked over. In fact, that's the second time. He's gone again.
Umpire Howlett's in trouble, Rod. He is having trouble getting up.
Yes, he is.
He's in real trouble. I think he's hurt his hand.
Keep your eye on the umpire, Don, while we watch the play, and we'll get a report from you as Oliver comes out into the centre wing position over to O'Mani. He loses possession of the ball to Schnering, and Schnering's hand pass, or the umpire says, you pushed him, lad, and he's going to get a free kick, is Greg Schnering. New player for Shepparton United this year, school teacher who's come into the area and proven a pretty good acquisition for the Demons. Looking for Spencer. Spencer can't handle it, but pushes it on. Oh, gee, there's all bottle green Guernseys there. Where are United forwards? And it's been pushed over the boundary line. Let's have a look at the umpire, Don.
Yes, well, umpire Howlett fell over, and then when he tried to get up, he fell over again. And I think it's injured his hand rather badly, but it looked as though he wasn't going to be able to get up a second time. But he's now composed himself. He's rubbing his elbow and his arm, and is not looking too good. And in this heat, it wouldn't surprise me to see him look for a replacement to give himself a rest, but I guess being the true professional that he is, he'll probably continue on. Meanwhile, umpire Wayne Byers is in charge of proceedings in the right forward pocket position, as it's Chris Ford who takes the ball for United. Blizzard takes it off the pack and finds Warburton, and Warburton has been moved up to full forward to try and give them some bite. And when he did that in the second semi-final, he made a big difference. In fact, he kicked a number of goals, and this might be just what Shepparton United need. Let's see what Warburton can do. There's the ball on its way, has missed it, and through for one behind only. Well, Chris, that's an interesting move.
Yes, it appears that Gary Kiddo was the player that they found to go to centre-half back. Matty Stevens went to full-back, as I thought might happen, and Warburton's gone to full-forward. And let's hope it works for United.
There's a kick out from Gavin Kenner from full-back. Oh, beautiful kick too from this player. And up goes the Echuca out the back. Will he get the free kick, the mark? No, it's been paid to United. And it's Wayne Ford, one of his few touches for the day. Ford's been moved out, looks like, to centre half forward. And there's Big Woodman with the had the chance, and Schneering, who's like pepper and salt. He's in everything at the moment. Snoot shoots for goal, and it's right on the last line of defence for Echuca as they come out in fine style, and only to see Big Ross side bottom, the linch pin, the key pin in the United chain to take it at centre half forward, right on the 50-metre line. Favours the short, not a terribly good one, but Trionitis is in there. I thought it was aimed at Hicks initially, but the Golden Greek, Georgie Trionitis now.
Certainly in a better position, Rod, than what Ross side bottom was. He'd only be 45 metres out from goal. Here's the kick from Trionitis. Has gone off a little bit. Let's wait for the goal umpire. One behind only, and that's a bad miss by the Demons. They badly needed a goal to get in front of the Murray Bombers at the 2.5-minute mark into the third quarter.
Well, Chris, you've been mentioning this, frittering away chances at goal by United.
Yeah, 2 opportunities to score majors, and they've had 2 points.
Well, the ball in the centre of the ground now, and United coming forward once again. They look a little refreshed. Maybe those last couple of minutes in the dressing rooms may have made a difference. Schering gets pushed away, but coming out is Simons. That's Peter Simons with the ball onto the left foot, up into the true centre of the ground. Or Delidio spills one he should have taken with a man of his experience, but over to John Jones, to Berry. The hand passes are coming thick and fast through to Ray Smith. Smith's foot pass was ill-directed, and we find Bruce Fuller in the back line, who's played a good game for Shepparton United, looking for Ralph. Leave it for me, says Sidey, but nobody can handle it. And eventually coming through is Limazani. He gets the hand pass back, or lost control of it, Limazani. It could have well have been a free kick to Echuca as a couple of players bundled over the boundary line, and we'll wait for a throw in right in front of One-Eyed Hill on the Echuca left half forward.
Well, Rod, I'm glad it's Chris Smith who has to pick the best player today. $300 with the compliments of guest furniture from the Channel 6 commentary team. We'll be asking Chris to name that player at the end of the day, because it's pretty torrid and hard out there, and not necessarily star players shining out. There's Chris Ford. He's played a very good game too. Up towards the half forward line. And Dean Patterson, another of the better Shepparton United players. Patterson boots the ball up forward, looking for the Warburton direction, but Warburton pushes a player in front of him, that is Gavin Kenner, and gave away a foolish free kick. Gavin Kenner returns the ball into the directions of Stephen Oliver. Oliver can't take it. Here's Hicks for United. Hicks blazes away at the big ones. Up goes Woodman, and Woodman pulls it. Oh, we'll wait on the goal umpire. It looked like he'd pulled in a mark, but he let it go. It went through for a behind, and another point on the board to United, and they're kicking points when they badly need goals.
Hicks had the opportunity there to take that extra split second to get back onto his left foot. He could have made a definite goer of it.
Yes, there's no doubt he had the opportunity. Trionitis' hand pass over into the Hicks direction. He loses it, and coming through is Patterson, the Terrier. He's played a pretty good game today, and here's forward onto the left foot. It's been smothered nicely by that very tight and cohesive Echuca defence, and it's forced over the boundary line, and we await the throw in. Boundary umpire with the ball. In there is Woodman, so too is Jason McKay. Woodman the tap, over to Schneering, who loses it. Picked up by Simons, good defence. Simons over to where side bottoms in the centre of the ground, playing a kick behind the play, and he sees Ford, who can't handle it all. Blizzard's been upset unmercifully, and he looks as though he hit the ground pretty hard. And here's Warburton. He's got away from his fullback, and very nicely sneaked away into the offside pocket, and Warburton now has the chance to put a major on the board for Shepparton United on a pretty fair angle, but he's only about 20 metres out from goal. We'll see what the normal fullback can do, and he kicked like a fullback too on that occasion, and Kenner marked it, but it's been pushed over the boundary line, or is it? No, Warby can't keep it in, and we await a throw in.
Not having a good day is Warby. Normally he would have put that straight through the centre, or at least put it over the fence, but just wasn't the Warby kick we know.
Must be under great pressure as coach. As you've found out plenty of times as coach, there must be that extra pressure there, Chris.
Yeah, well, I think he's had enough of an opportunity to get rid of all that by now, but I think he's just still probably feeling a little bit groggy from that heavy knock he copped in the first quarter.
Well, there's no doubt about this Echuca backline. They're absolutely relentless in the second semi-final. We saw United time and time again try to get through, but once again the Echuca backline comes away. Playing very well, Glenn Douglas and company up there in that last line of defence. And here's a big opportunity to drive the ball forward through Paul Brown. Brown on the centre wing. Up it goes. Big fellows getting underneath it. Up goes Tony Jones. Can't take the mark. Out of the back of the pack comes Mario de Santa Ana. The Cooch kicks it forward into the Hicks direction. Hicks takes a mark. Up to almost Wayne Byers took a mark there. Here's a chance for Spencer. Spencer's kick is a wobbly one right on the outer side of the ground. Blizzard's going to run for it. Who's the bounce going to favour? One right on the outer side of the ground. Blizzard's going to run for it. Who's the bounce going to favour? Eventually Wayne Ford comes in, picks the ball up, and look out, he's going to get caught. No, he got away from it, takes a bounce, and he's in trouble. Gets rid of it, tried to do too much. In comes Patterson. And Ray Smith grabs hold of it, and the umpire says, no, I'll have it please, fellas. And we'll take a ball up on the half-forward line.
Wasted opportunity there for United. They had 3 players. They could have raffled it. And in fact, it looked as if they tried to do it.
2 points the difference at Deakin Reserve at the 8-minute mark. 10-3, 63, 9-11, 65. Echuca in the lead. Up goes Kenner, tries to take the mark. Couldn't do so, but it's coming towards Echuca's way. Here's a chance for Captain Berry. Berry gets it over and has taken a mark in the full forward position as Tony Jones without a player anywhere near him. And you can chalk this one up, people at home sitting in your lounge room at Echuca. This will be a goal for the Green and Whites.
Well, I've seen funnier things happen, Don, but with a player like Tony Jones, with the professionalism that he shows, very rarely does he miss a goal from there. In fact, he'll probably put it right out into the middle of Skene Street. We could even be after another footy. There he is. Umpire Leo Pye.
Oh, he's missed it.
He's missed it. Well, there you go. There you go. A bloke like Tony Jones missing a kick like that. Well, that's squandering kicks, if ever there was one, scoring opportunities. Chris?
Bad miss by Tony, and he's shaking his head. But, yeah, when Berry broke away and popped that little one over the top, it looked as if it was a dead set goal coming up for Echuca, but just goes to show, as soon as you open your mouth, they let you down.
Yeah. Well, it happens all the time, Chris. Waiting for the football to come back out of Skene Street. Yes, here it comes, and the full back for, in fact, it's Matthew Stevens for Shepparton United, kicking the ball out now. Gets the ball out onto half-back line. Chris Ford running over there for it with Stephen Oliver.
Nobody to help him, though. That's the trouble, and that's happened quite a bit with United. There's been too many green jumpers there, but Stevens eventually, Patterson rather, gets it up there, but John Jones playing a sterling performance in defence, puts the ball back over, and I think it might be on again here, is it? Or,
umpire's found something.
And he's taken it the other way. Chris, I missed it. I was following
no, there was
an
infringement behind the play. I think the kick is going to Craig Blizzard. But definitely infringement behind play. I didn't see it myself.
Well, Wayne Byers was right there, and he obviously saw it just as that ball was being kicked out of defence by Echuca. And the former captain coach of the United club, the very popular Craig Blizzard, has the big chance now to put the ball on its way, and he does so. And Warburton stands there and watches it go through for a point. Well, both teams squandering scoring opportunities here at Deakin Reserve, and Echuca hold the ascendancy. In fact, yes, it's actually level pegging now, 10 minutes into the third quarter. Echuca 10 goals, 4, 64 to Shepparton United, 9 goals, 12. And as Chris Smith said, the Shepparton United have been squandering opportunities. The ball is in the centre of the ground. Going forward again is Shepparton United, kicked off by John Jones. Right over the boundary line, and we will await a throw in.
That actually made it 2 points the difference, Rod, because we have Echuca now 10-4, 64, Shepparton United 9 goals, 12, 66. So the Demons are 2 points in front. We've played now for around 10 minutes into the third quarter on the outer side of the ground. Can the Murray Bombers come through? Kicked away by Douglas over towards the David Bruns direction. He's having a battle over there with De Santa Ana. Coming in out of the pack was De Santa Ana with the ball over to Patterson. Patterson's played a good game today for the Demons. He boots the ball up towards full forward, and who is there to mark it but Richard Warburton, right on the 50-metre mark. So Warburton has the chance now to put the Demons 8 points ahead. He's coming in now, takes the kick, left foot kick. It's not going to make it. Woodman is the big fellow in the goals, but it's knocked through by the Echuca back line, and it's one behind only.
Well, maybe that move at Warburton to full forward was a good one.
Yes, Chris, it seems to be working. Their road to goal is a little easier at the moment.
It's a pity that they haven't been able to grab a few more up there. There's been plenty of opportunities this quarter. And the ball is in the centre of the ground. Ray Smith has it right up through there where Hall, the little terrier, goes forward. There's the hand pass to, good football there, back to Hall. And he puts it up there where its kick has been spoilt because we see Greg Manane solid in defence on the half-back flank with it for the Murray Bombers. Where's the bottle green Guernseys? There's only one there. It was Paul Brown, but there's Delidio. It's a hurried hand pass out to nobody in particular. And De Santarana playing a good game over to another good player for United in Patterson. He sees Spencer out onto the left half forward flank. Spencer wastes no time. He sees Chris Ford and nicely passes it to him. Stephen Oliver is on the half-back line there on this occasion. And a chance for Chris Ford, with about being some 40 metres out from goal, to put the ball right up into the teeth of goal, if not a score.
Difficult shot from there, kicking into the breeze.
Well, let's see how it goes. It looks pretty good. Up they go. Nobody can handle it. Not quite there. Schneering. It goes across goal. And it's almost been marked. In fact, a United player could have received a free kick, wouldn't it? But good defensive play, or just sees the ball stay in as Stephen Ralph grabs it. Sees the opportunity out the side bottom, but the hand pass was ill-directed. Good football there. Sees Bennett get the ball away for the Murray Bombers. And off they go again through the brilliant Paul Brown. The big spiral punt up there looking for McKay, but he can't handle it, and then it's Hall coming out of defence. One bounce. There's the kick. Looking for Stephen Ralph. Gee, it's been a great performance. I see they might have switched wings there, have they? And Ralph's kicking it up towards Woodman, who marks it nonchalantly and comes forward, takes the hand pass once again. Oh, player's been dragged down there, and that was Limazani. Ford pushes it forward only to find an Echuca opponent, but Trionitis chips in beautifully, and he's looking for side bottom, or is it Warburton? Warburton has it on the left foot, and he screams around, and he could make this a double score here. No, it's not. It's a minor. And once again, United, gee, they could have really packaged this one up over the past 10 minutes, but they've kicked a string of behinds in this quarter, Chris.
Yes, they still keep squandering those opportunities, but they're finding their forwards up on their forward line, and Warburton seems to be the difference at the moment. If they can keep finding him, he's got to convert.
With Echuca bringing Alan Ogden back onto the ground, the ball being kicked out onto the outer side, onto the half-forward flank position, but the umpires have found a free kick. It's going to go Shepparton United's way. Matthew Stevens with ball right on the boundary line. Here's the kick by Matthew Stevens. High in the air it goes. Up goes Woodman. Oh, nice mark too by the big fellow. Number 14, Chris Woodman. Boots it forward. Ogden is there, jumps over the top of it. Here's a chance now for Blizzard. Blizzard breaks away, streams towards goal, lets it fire, and has missed. Oh, they're really missing goals when they need these opportunities, because Echuca won't be giving them the opportunities all day. And that means that United now go on to 9 goals 15, and Echuca 10 goals 4, and United badly need some goals.
There's no doubt about that. Chris, just how many points have they kicked for this quarter? How many minor scores?
7.
7 points this quarter. I mean, if they had 4 of those had been goals, they could have had this game wrapped up by now. But however, Echuca going forward, making the most of their opportunities, and streaming in there was Alan Ogden for the Murray Bombers. He knows where the goals are. Beautiful goal by Alan Ogden. As Don mentioned, he only came on the ground. No, it's been touched. Well. It looked to me, it certainly was good, but the Leo Pye was right on the job there. And Matt Stevens kicks it out, favours the short one. Goes to Mario de Santarana. And Mario decides on a bit of a run. He played pretty good football today as Mario. There's Paul Brown and marks, but not in front of Limazani, and he manhandled Limazani, and rightly so. The umpire was right on the job and sees the free kick to young Mark Limazani.
Well, it's the young players of United, like Limazani and Patterson and Hall. Yes, Hall has been another good, and Ralph, that have really kept United in this game, and they've got to be congratulated for the way that they've performed rather than the big shots. Here's a chance right on centre wing. Limazani, although David Bruns is having a bit of a how do you do with Stephen Ralph there at the same time, but umpire Byers has paid the kick Echuca's way, and it's going to go to Glenn Douglas on centre wing. Douglas, who's been pretty solid in defence as well. 65 plays 69, and Shepparton United 4 points in front at this stage. The ball going to the Echuca forward line. And the umpire's found a free. Umpire David Howlett said against you, Georgie Trionitis, and the free kick goes to Tony Jones. So Tony Jones coming up now at the 17-minute mark of the third quarter, with 69 points to Shepparton United, 65 to Echuca. 4 points the difference as Tony Jones comes in right on the 50-metre mark. There's the kick. It's not a bad one. Is it going to fall? Yes, it's going to go right through the centre. Thought for a moment it might not make it. And Tony Jones kicks goal number 5, and a very important one, Chris.
Yes, just goes to show the difference between the two sides at the moment is in the accuracy at kicking for goal. And it's just been pointed out to me that whereas United has kicked 11 points in a row, Echuca, has kicked what in this particular quarter?
1-2, I think, is it? 1-2 in this quarter.
Yeah, 1-2.
Yes. Which is, well, I know disappointing for United fans, because they could have been truly in control of this game at this occasion. But here's Hicks streaming out of the centre of the ground now. Oh, good play. Gavin Kenner backed his judgment in magnificent style. Great full-back performance there from Kenner. Oh, Patterson was running the wrong way and couldn't pick the ball up. Eventually it's done so by Cooch to Santarana, and he finds Hicks in the centre of the ground.
He's getting a lot of latitude, Rod.
Absolutely, yes. Hicks is roving pretty well all over the ground at the moment, and he sees Vic Sidey, and there it is. There's the experienced Ross Sidebottom, and perhaps he's the man that could be the answer for United up there in the forward line, because they've had the ball up there on a number of occasions. I don't know whether Sidey's the most reliable kick in the world, but we'll see what happens. He's right in front and only 15 metres out from goal. Very deliberate one, and no mistake about this, the professionalism of Ross Sidebottom, the boy from Katandra. And that's the first major score we've seen on the board from Shepparton United this quarter, and they've kicked, 7 points, is it? As well as that goal. So
11 points in succession prior to kicking that goal.
Well, if they lose the grand final, Chris, they know what they can blame for that.
True enough.
Well, it's rather interesting to look down the goal kickers with Shepparton United, forward to Marcus Spencer, and then one each to about 7 players. And with Echuca, you've got Tony Jones with 5, and a heap of other players with 1, including Kenner, Delidio, Manane, Brown, Brereton and Smith. And for Shep United, the 1 goal kickers are Snaring, Kevin Hicks, Dallas Turlick, George Trionitis, Sidebottom and Ross Adlam, and Marcus Spencer's kicked 4. So there's certainly been 1 prolific goal kicker in each side, and they'll need them to be firing for the rest of the game. Took a while to get the ball back into play, but here we have it. Scoreboard shows United 10-15-75, Echuca 11 goals 5-71. 20 minutes gone into the third quarter. Umpire Wayne Byers bounces the ball high. It's knocked away by to Kevin Hicks of Shepparton United. He finds Snaring there at centre half forward. Snaring's kick goes in the Warburton direction, but Gavin Kenner is there and knocks it over the boundary line through for 1 point only to Shepparton United. Kenner's playing fairly well in this quarter, although of course he's got Richard Warburton shifted onto him. Here's big Ross Adlam going high in the air, can't take the mark. It was a good kick out there by Kenner. Limazani's got the chance forward rather to kick the ball forward. Georgie Trionitis, but getting under it was the Echuca skipper in Jeff Berry. Jeff Berry kicks the ball back in towards the centre. Who can get it away? Hand pass out to Hall. Blizzard fires forward.
Oh. On the left boot.
Yes, what can Snaring do with it? He's in a bit of trouble, gets it around, all on his own. His Sidebottom changed his mind, looked like he was going to go on, but he should get this one, Chris.
Well, he kicked the last. Let's hope he's in the rut.
Somebody's not picking up their men in the back line for Echuca, because Sidebottom's been on his own there for the last 5 minutes.
There's been a bit of a problem, well, at least over recent years with Echuca, insofar as them being loose in defence when the pressure's hooked on. So they're going to have to pay a lot of attention to that, give themselves a real chance in this last quarter.
Well, there it was, and a goal, the second goal in a matter of a couple of minutes from the giant, lion-hearted Ross Sidebottom. Very experienced player, and showed his absolute true worth down there, resting in the forward pocket. Although he's badly needed in the ruck, at the moment he's certainly well appreciated down in the forward pocket, because those 2 goals were just the fillip that Shepparton United needed, and they now move to 11 goals, 16, 82, leading 11-point lead. Echuca 11 goals, 5, 71, and we're almost into time on in the third quarter here, and it's a very, very hot day at Deakin Reserve.
And Shepparton United have had 11 more scoring shots than Echuca, so they certainly haven't been able to get the right kicking boots on. And of course, they've been under plenty of pressure up in the forward line. Can Echuca get a goal before the siren rings for three-quarter time? Skipper Berry with the ball in towards centre. Centres it. Up goes Tony Jones. Can't take the mark. Here's a chance for Brown. Gets a hand pass over, but Hall playing very well in defence. Alan Ogden gets the show. But United break away through Gary Kiddo up into the snaring direction. He's got number 1 David Bruns against him. He gets grabbed, and Bruns receives the free kick for being legged. And will take it on the half-back line. On it goes, being played downfield. There's a chance now, picked up by Wayne Delidio. Delidio stops on half-forward flank. Wait for Delidio to get the ball forward, up towards the half-forward line. Brown gets underneath the ball. Who can take it? Nobody's got it. Comes to the ground, knocked away by Trionitis. Over his head goes Mark O'Mahony, and he finds Jeff Berry.
Well, Chris, can you tell me where Berry's playing at the moment? Is he ruck roving? I'd say
he is ruck roving, and I think he'll be changing with Ray Smith. It appears that Ogden's gone into the centre, if my changes are right.
I think you may be right too. Here's the captain coach of the Echuca side, Jeff Berry. A very important goal required, but Leo Pye says, sorry, I can only raise one finger, and that's another point on the board to Echuca. They really did need that one. And Jeff Berry, we thought, was the man to do the job, but however, it's like they might be doing a United. There's Hall kicking out at full-back for United, and he's looking for Big Adlam, but can't eventually does find him. It fell into Adlam's hand. Here's Hicks, the irrepressible roving player, but beautifully taken over by Brereton. On the hand pass on to Berry, back to Brereton again. Good football, Echuca, but that was a woeful kick by Steve Brereton on that occasion. And we'll see as it was out of bounds on the full, it will come from deep in defence from Jeffrey Hall. A kick from Hall over in the centre half back. Big Ken is there, but he can't mark it. Picked up by Berry, and looking for O'Mahony. Forced out in front of him. Here's Hicks again onto the left foot. Always looks good when he kicks the ball, this Hicks, but lovely mark taken by Greg Manane coming out from the half-back flank for the bottle green side in the Murray Bombers.
Hicks shaping up to be close to best on the ground at the moment. He's had a powerful amount of possessions.
Yeah, I thought he was quiet early, but gee, this second quarter he came into it, and there's no doubt about it. He's best in the third quarter, Chris. And of course, we've got $300 to give away. Don, is that correct? On behalf of Guest Furniture today.
Guest Furniture prize of $300 for the commentary team's pick for the best player on the ground today. And we'll be relying a lot on Chris Smith, his thoughts on who should win that. Here's a chance now for the Murray Bombers to kick the ball back. We've been playing for 25 minutes in the third quarter. Murray Bombers badly need a goal. Can they do it? No, it's a chance for United to get the ball back in towards the half-forward line as it's been kicked by Gary Kiddo up towards, in fact, right in the centre in that area. And away goes Stephen Ralph for Shepparton United over towards the half-forward flank where Warburton comes in, falls over for the ball. Nobody can get it away. They fall on top of it. The umpire will probably, yes, he's going to bounce it up, and it's in the right forward pocket position for the Shepparton United side.
Good recovery from Warburton then. He lost it and then came back very quickly, and he pounced on Peter Simons, not allowing him to get away at all. Side bottoms in the air, and so too is Big Doc Kenner. Big opportunity for United to score here, and Kenner it was who got the tap down, but there wasn't a rover there to take it. Or kick off the ground by Ray Smith then, and coming through in fine style was Ogden for Echuca. They're looking for Tony Jones, and finds him too. Onto the chest of Tony Jones. It nearly spilled out, and he was well in front of Matthew Stevens on that occasion. There's the kick from Tony Jones, a prolific one as usual, but Hall's there playing great football in the back pocket. Very steady today, Hall. Chris Smith,
he's played a magnificent game out of that back pocket. In fact, one of the younger players with the legs, and has really meant the difference in defence. Solid defence.
The Trionitis kick over to Chris Ford, who sees Fuller, who's come out from back flank to take the ball. There's a bounce from Bruce, and onto the left foot as he goes around to the wing, or Wayne Ford nearly takes it, but it eludes him as it's being pushed over the boundary line by Gary Simons. and on the half-forward line for Shepparton United. We'll see a throw in, and it's right into time on now. We've played 26.5 minutes into this quarter. Maybe not a terribly long, a long quarter, this one. But if United can score now, they could go in with a handy lead into this, into the last quarter of this big one here at Deakin Reserve today.
In the forward pocket, the Echuca side desperately trying to get the ball away, kicking the ball out onto the half-back flank. Here's a chance for the Santa Ana. It's been knocked away by Ogden, and the ball goes over the boundary line and out of bounds. Good play there by the Echuca back line. Gary Simons was there, working very hard indeed to try and get that ball away. There's been a few problems with their defence. They haven't been able to counter Hicks, particularly on the forward line. Here's a chance for Alan Ogden. He comes in, picks the ball up now, up towards the half-forward line it goes. Jones, bounce beats him. 3 United players there. Hall out the back. What a great player he's been in defence. Oh, missed it. Here's a chance for Echuca. Kicked off the ground by Berry. Oh, Brown was all on his own down there and couldn't do much about it. Umpire Byers has decided he's going to bounce it up. Actually, Jason McKay was in a perfect position. If Berry had been able to kick the ball forward, McKay been able to pick up, there was a sure goal on the board for Echuca, who are 10 points behind at this stage. Here's Brown kicking the ball forward. Fuller, who's been a good player, underneath it. Off the back of the pack, it comes to Matthew Stevens. He kicks the ball out. Number 3 over there is Chris Ford for Shepparton United, but it's been picked up for Echuca.
Oliver.
Driven forward by Oliver. Patterson's there for Shepparton United. Picking the ball up is Fuller. He runs into trouble, and eventually it is Echuca's Berry who comes away with the ball. Moves it in towards centre half forward. Jones is there. It comes to the ground. Berry again. He misses it. Oh, they're making some bad mistakes at the wrong time. And over the boundary line, and umpire Byers says to throw the ball in. Actually, Bruce Fuller's played a very good game, a very reliable game for him today. And there goes the siren. It's 3/4 time, and the score sees Shepparton United 11-16-82, 10 points to the good of Echuca, 11 goals, 6, 72 points at 3/4 time in the GVL Grand Final. Well, everything's set for a magnificent last quarter here at Deakin Reserve with the score, as you can see, Echuca 11 goals, 6, 72, Shepparton United 11 goals, 16, 82. And Chris Smith with 10 points the difference. I guess you'd like to be the side that's 10 points up, but can Echuca get up and win the game? Well,
of course it's still possible, although at the moment it appears that United has gained the ascendancy. I mean, in that quarter they had 10 shots to Echuca's 4, and I can see the same, or a similar pattern emerging in this game as what happened in the second semi-final, and I think United may have made their run early enough to get up and be in front at the final siren. But look, it's still any side's game in this day and age. 5 goals, the difference at 3/4 time is only 5 minutes of football, so it's still very interesting.
Ian Fitzsimmons has some statistics for us. Anything remarkable there? Quite obviously, United with 187 kicks to 158 for Echuca. It seems quite obvious that they had the better in that quarter.
Yes, well, as I said, they started to gain the ascendancy, and it's apparent on paper in the statistics department that United is inching ahead in most facets of play. 187 to 158 in the kick department, 47 to 34 marks, 50 handballs to 45, which isn't a lot of handballs in a game of football, and they appear still to be winning in the ruck. So, they're inching ahead.
Just before the players come back and are ready to start, let's say congratulations to the players in the Goulburn Valley League who were selected in Fitzy's All-Star team. This is a team where Ian Fitzsimmons from Goulburn Valley Recycling Centre, and who of course is our trusty statistician here today, donates a team jumper to 20 players who are selected as Fitzy's All-Stars, and I think there was over a dozen people around the Goulburn Valley selected the All-Stars team. From the back line was David Morrison Euroa, Wayne DeLudio from Echuca, and Chris Dighton of Mooroopna. The halfbacks were Gary Kiddo of United, John Jones of Echuca, and Stewie Rowe of Shepparton. The centres were Kevin Maloney of Lemnos, Philip Nicholson of Tatura, and Kyle Wilson of Lemnos. The half forwards were Ken Murray of Shepparton, Tony Jones of Echuca, and Billy Wong of Mooroopna. The forwards were Ross Sidebottom of United, Darren Comey of Shepparton, and Gary Harvey of Euroa. The rucks, John Cortese of Shepparton and Peter Giddos of Kyabram, the Morrison medalist, Gary Cooper of Mooroopna, the rover. Interchange Steve Pedretti and Robert Harrison, Matthew O'Sullivan, and the coach, Xavier Tanner, and Keith Wellman, the manager.
Well, there it is, and it's right into the last quarter of the Goulburn Valley Grand Final. The siren's gone and we're away. This is the most important 30 minutes of any season, because this is where Grand Finals can be won or lost. And anyone can win it, anyone can lose it from here. Shepparton United's third quarter was a very promising one, and I think that Jeff Berry, when we saw him urging his players on, they're going to have to pull that something a little bit extra out of it. But there's probably the most important player for United in Ross Sidebottom on the ball right now, and he could make the difference between win and loss for United. Nobody seems to be able to grab the ball. It's like a hot spud, but eventually Jason Mackay does so and puts it out forward, where it's almost marked there by Alan Ogden, but it's on the Echuca half-forward line, and we await a throw-in. By the way, Jeff Berry has got 15 kicks, picked up a lot in that third quarter,
yes,
Chris.
Came into it a hell of a lot in that third quarter.
And as you mentioned, Kevin Hicks is
yes.
16, the most for United.
Yes.
Well, nobody seems to be able to do anything with it, and the ball's out of bounds again. Don, I would like to mention Bruce Fuller has played a very, very responsible game today. I know I've at times ragged him a little because of his indiscretions, but he's played a great game today, and full marks to Bruce Fuller on his performance
I
today.
think he's changed his whole idea of playing, and he's put in a very good season. I think that's certainly improved his play. Here's a chance for United to get the ball away. Out to the half-back flank it goes. Up goes Mario de Santa Ana and takes it. United will need to control the ball in the air, or else Echuca's going to get back in. Wayne Ford comes under the ball. Can't do much about it. But here's a snaring. Hand pass, Trionitis. Trionitis boots the ball forward to the Dean Patterson direction, and he takes a nice mark. He's done very well, Dean Patterson. Boots the ball up into the full forward position. There's big Ross Adlam running for the ball, number 13, number 43 rather, and there's a bit of a how do you do over there. Umpire Howlett going in to try and settle that down. Gavin Kenner was in there, and nothing much in it now, as we wait for the ball to come back into play from the Echuca back line.
Gary Simons, I think, will take the kick.
From his boot round to half back. Up go the big fellows. It comes to the ground. Patterson again into the hands of Snaring. Warburton's underneath it. He gets grabbed. Play on, says the umpire. They'll fall on top of that ball, and United try and keep it in that scoring zone. They're 10 points up, the Demons. They need to stay that way for the next 30 minutes. Echuca badly need a couple of goals. They've got the players to do it. The big star-studded side, the Murray Bombers. But United are playing Deakin Reserve, the ground that they know so well, playing it very well indeed. There's the kick from the half-back line from Peter Simons. Out to the back line it goes, but there's the irrepressible Hicks over to Sidebottom. Sidebottom puts it forward. Can Warburton mark? No, he cannot. Well done, Gavin Kenner. Took the ball in front of Warburton, knocked it to the ground, through for one behind on the board for Shepparton United, and they just make that score a little bit further ahead.
Well, Hicks in the game once again is very, very lively. Almost marked by Trionitis, but it comes across to Wayne Ford, who's yet to goal for United. All player could have had his collar pulled off there for Echuca. Nobody seems to be able to pick it up, but eventually Patterson gets it out to Warburton, who's been thumped unceremoniously, and eventually Peter Simons with the hand pass to Berry, and here comes the captain coach streaming out with the kick there, looking for Ray Smith, and finds Smith in the centre of the ground. Up they go into their forward position, does the Murray Bombers, and here's Tony Jones, puts it onto his left foot, up there looking for player who's pushed out there, there's no doubt about that, but good play by Hall, who gets it out of defence, and sees Sidebottom out on the centre wing. He's playing right over the ground at the moment, is big Sidey, but his kick has been ill-directed, and Stephen Ralph wasn't able to manage it there. You think that could have been a free kick on that occasion?
No, I wouldn't have paid a free kick. I thought it definitely safe mark, and he's inching into contention for this BOG award. Jeff Hall in the back pocket.
Yes, I couldn't agree more, Chris. He's played a magnificent game in the last line of defence. What can the Murray Bombers to do to get up? They badly need goals at this stage, but once again we've seen that ball over on the outer side of the ground. Throw it in, says umpire David Howlett, and Kevin Boyler will put the ball back into play. Who's in ruck? Coming in, Marcus Spencer is in there, but it's Jason Mackay up against Sidebottom. Sidebottom to Spencer. Beautiful knockdown by Sidey. And it goes into the forward pocket to where Dean Patterson, who's picked up a heap of kicks today, has taken a mark.
Well, big chance for Patterson to put another one on the board for United, and if they can go to a 16-point lead, it's going to be very hard for Echuca to come back. United, of course, lost the thirds and they lost the seconds, but they're doing it pretty well at the moment, and only for indiscriminate kicking like that one, they could have been further ahead. But however, that's another minor score for Shepparton United, and they can ill afford to do it, Chris, at this stage.
Yes, well, Patterson apparently is the leading kick getter to date, 17 kicks.
Well, there's 2 or 3 of them in contention for the Best in Ground award for the $300 from Guest Furniture, but I think they're all from Shepparton United at the moment. I can't really see an Echuca player really standing out, although the player who's just kicked it in Wayne Delidio has played a pretty handy sort of a game. But here's the chance for the Murray Bombers. Can they do it? It's very tight defensive down there by play by Shepparton United. And Wayne Byers says the ball was held to a player. And I think we're going to have a ball up. Yes, we will.
The United defence is very, very tight at the moment. They've got the Santa Ana down there and Georgie Trionitis. Big side bottom is generaling play around there. And Mark Limazani's done very well indeed also. It comes out of the back of the pack, and Alan Ogden has his legs entwined around somebody else's head, but it's De Santa Ana getting up with the ball, and umpire Byers is going to bounce it in the left forward pocket position. 11 goals, 18, Shepparton United. 11 goals, 6 Echuca. So as you can see, 84 points plays 72. We've played 5 minutes of the final quarter, and umpire Byers pays a free kick to the Shepparton United player in Trionitis. There's Georgie Trionitis with the ball now, and the last line of defence boots it out round towards the scoreboard. On centre wing, up go the big fellows, and a mark has been taken by John Jones. Gets a hand pass across to David Bruns, who missed it.
Let them in.
Here comes Shearing, he's let them in. Snaring comes across, he takes another bounce and another one, and he pops it over. All on his own is Wayne forward, but a brilliant game in defence there by Gavin Kenner, who came out and took a great mark on it. It looked like to be all heading home for Shepparton United. Out it comes around the half-forward line to Greg Manane. Hasn't set the world on fire. Manane kicks the ball forward. Underneath it is Kenner. Knocks to the ground. Nobody can get it. Blizzard is there. Here's Patterson again. Blizzard again. Hand pass to De Santa Ana. And Cooch blazes forward for the United side. Takes a couple of bounces. And again. There's plenty there. Look out. He's in trouble. Under the hammer, he was snaring, but he's kicked the ball. And once again, we find United going through for a behind to make them go on to 11 goals, 1985 to Echuca, 11 goals, 672.
Well, no one seemed to see it there. I noticed that De Santa Ana is in the hands of the trainers, and he was really obviously dumped unceremoniously after he got rid of that hand pass. And I didn't see it, but he doesn't look too good there. Pretty groggy. He's in the hands of the trainers. But meantime, the play's being transferred over onto the centre wing. There's a fight going on the centre wing area as Blizzard has the ball for United. And Blizzard sees Ralph, and he puts the ball further on, looking for Trionitis, and finds him. Good play, United. There's Snaring, is a man clear. Snaring, will he have a shot for goal? He does so, and he has put it through. And a very important goal for the Demons. Could that be the nail in the coffin for Echuca? It's a very hot afternoon. And Chris, do you think that the heat of the day is really starting to tell on the players now?
Well, undoubtedly it is. If I was out there, I know I'd be feeling the pinch for sure. But I just get the suspicion now that United is starting to get the scent of victory. And regardless of how they might be feeling, you'll find that they'll lift.
Santa Ana has just come off the ground. The boys might see if they can get a shot of him there. He doesn't look too good in the coach's box as he's come into the coach's box for a rest, but he was dealt with. There he is there with United trainers, but I imagine he looks up at the scoreboard and would be pretty happy with himself. Meanwhile, back in the centre of the ground where we've been playing just on 9.5 minutes into the final quarter with the score 91 points Shepparton United, 72 points Echuca, and the umpire, the VFL umpire David Howlett, comes in to bounce the ball. Up it goes. It's Brereton with the ball, gets grabbed around the neck. Play on, says the umpire. He gets a hand pass away. No one to help him from Echuca. Eventually, it's Tony Jones, or John Jones came in to give him a hand, but it goes up towards the forward line as Snaring mucks a hand pass up. They're desperate, these Echuca players, trying to get the ball back. Wayne Ford is there playing the ball on in front of him. Ford puts the ball over, but the umpire's called a free. What was that for, Chris?
Holding the man. Wayne Ford to take it.
No.
Yes, he patted the ball on in front of him, and I thought that he may have been able to get a free.
I thought Woodman was going to lose it for United there for a moment too. Well, here's the chance for the boy from Katandra, Wayne Ford, who's been a great player for them all season. However, he's had a pretty lean day today, 40. Onto the right foot, it looks pretty good from here, or does it? No, it's swinging right across, and it's another behind for United. And I tell you, if they lose this game, they can well and truly blame their indiscretions up forward, where they've kicked a heap of points. And Echuca, 11 goals, 672, trails Shepparton United, who move on to 12 goals, 20, 92. But the ball has been marked in the centre of the ground by the Limazani, is it?
Ross Sidebottom.
Yes, I lost him for a moment. And it's
Ross
been marked by
Sidebottom.
Warburton. Been marked by Warburton. He's taken it at last, and there's no doubt the move by Warburton to full forward, as Chris mentioned earlier, has been a good one by them. Warby is one of those multi-talented players who made his name in Goulburn Valley League football as a fullback. He's played at centre half back, he's played as a ruck rover or a ruckman, and of course he can do equally as well at the top end of the ground where he can kick goals. Hope he won't make me a liar, I don't think he has. And by gee, that could be a very, very important goal from the captain, rather the coach of the United side, in Richard Warburton. That is his first goal for the day, by the looks.
Right.
Yes, his first goal to Richard Warburton, but a really telling one at the 12-minute mark of the quarter. Do you think Echuca can come back now, Chris?
Well, if they're going to win, they're going to have to definitely start doing something now, because at this stage of the game, a goal like that really does give a team a big lift. I've been there, as a lot of players have, no doubt, but it does give a team a big lift. Echuca must be starting to feel the threat of defeat at the moment, and they're going to have to do something urgent to get back into this game.
Well, they're 26 points up at the 12-minute mark, and United blaze away again through Patterson. Over under the right forward pocket position it comes. Can Echuca get the ball away? It's going to go over the boundary line, as we've seen so often in that particular area, and the boundary umpire to throw it back into play. Jeff Berry starting to hang the head a little bit, looking a little bit tired. Ryan Kenner coming into ruck. Up it goes. Ross Adlam knocks the ball forward. Picking it up was Peter Simons for Echuca. Gets it back towards the centre. Nobody can get it away. Eventually it's Hicks. Good player for United. Drives the Demons forward. Blizzard is there. On the ground it comes. Out it comes with Ford. Ford puts it onto his left boot, and he swings it around towards goal and has put it through for Shepparton United. So Wayne Ford has kicked a goal, his first goal today for the Demons, and one that I'm sure he'd look forward to, Chris.
Yeah, lovely left foot snap by Wayne Ford, and it's got to give United a lot of incentive to go on with this game. But Echuca can still get back into it. The game is not yet over, but as I said before, there's got to be a big lift in the urgency in their play to get that ball up forward. I see Delidio's gone to full forward.
I think with the conditions as they are, I really can't see the Murray Bombers doing it. Sorry to say that to those people sitting back in their armchairs over in Echuca who weren't able to make the trip across today, but it really does look as though United have lifted, and the conditions still very hot and humid here today. It is difficult. However, they're giving it their very best, Echuca, and they're going forward once again through Alan Ogden, who puts it up onto the forward line. Oh, there's Murray Bombers jerseys everywhere here, and Matthew Stevens pushes it over, and here's a player who hasn't been on the ground very long by the looks, in Rowan Johnson, but it's taken away by Bruce Fuller in fine style to Stephen Ralph, who has a paddock. And Ralph looks like pushing it forward to Trionitis, and Trionitis is being pushed over as he goes forward, but the umpire says no, I'll elect to have the ball thrown in, a boundary throw in. I tell you what, if United do this, win this one, there's one person that needs a magnificent pat on the back, and that is the president of the Shepparton United Football Club in Ian Marrett. One of the greatest workers I've ever seen in a football club. He does everything from virtually sweeping out the club rooms to the job as presidency, and he's worked very, very hard for the last 3 or 4 years, Ian Marrett, for the United club. And if they win it, well, I'm sure that he'll be a very proud man, but indeed a very humble man, because this is what he's been working for a number of years. As United have been bringing up their juniors, they've been very well known for fostering juniors, and they've done so with some magnificent young players who have performed extremely well here today. And I'm sure that Ian Marrett will be on the edge of his seat at the moment. But as we speak, Echuca are fiddling around with the ball there as John Jones kicks it out of bounds, and I think we're going to see a throw in.
15 minutes have gone in the final quarter. 14 goals, 20 Shepparton United, 104. In front of Echuca, 11 goals, 672. There's the throw in on the outer side. The sun goes behind a cloud. Picked up for United, driven forward in the Warburton direction. In front of the pack was big Ross Adlam, and Adlam's taken a mark and says, how easy is it? Just strolls away from goal to turn around and have his shot for Shepparton United to put them further ahead. They're 31 points in the lead at this stage, and they've got this grand final absolutely parcelled up. There's the kick from Adlam, and he has missed it. He's missed it. So
too casual in his approach.
Yes, they've kicked 21 behinds now, 14-21 to 11 goals 6, and although of course they've looked like winning the game fairly easily, it's bad kicking for the Shepparton United Football Club.
Chris, Echuca have not scored in this last term.
No, they're having a lot of difficulty getting it up forward and converting, but just goes to show that the United team has definitely lifted. They've sensed victory, and they are desperate for it.
Chris, while the ball's coming back, my spies over in Echuca tell me that Jeff Berry does not intend to coach the Echuca side next year, and the rumour has it that one Chris Smith could be in charge. Can you give us any light on that subject?
Well, I've informed the Echuca Football Club that I'd be more than interested in helping out in whatever capacity I can, should I be over there and working next year. So nothing has been confirmed, but I suppose there might be something in the wind in the ensuing weeks.
I think I believe it's a little bit more certain than that, and it would be great to see Chris Smith back as a coach of a Goulburn Valley team, and it could be that he is coach of the Murray Bombers next year, and I'm sure he'll be looking very carefully at all the players here today. But in the meantime, it's all United, and Ross Adlam has a chance to make amends from his last kick, because he's right on the boundary line, and he's marked the ball only about 10 metres out, and he's made no mistake about that one. That was a great goal. That's his second to Adlam, and he's been quite a reasonable player for them today, although there's no doubt about it, Sidebottom's taken the brunt of the big man work, and but it's very handy to have a big man like Adlam up in the forward line.
Just about to say, Rod, the luxury and the advantage of having a man who's 6'7", although he hasn't done a great deal today, on a day like today, you know, when you've got a big man down in the pocket to take the mark in the dying stages and kick those goals, I mean, how do you beat it?
Yes, the big long legs and the big long arms certainly help. Back in the centre it is. We've been playing now for 18 minutes into the final quarter. Umpire David Howlett comes in to bounce it. In ruck is Jason McKay for Echuca. Big side bottoms there, wins it again, down towards the Patterson direction. Kicked out of the way by Snering. Can Echuca come forward? It's all United. Ralph kicks it off the ground. Woodman, Hicks, oh, it's easy for the Demons. They're doing well. Warburton, and it's taken a mark.
Well, he's got away from them in the last few minutes, as Warburton, there's no doubt about that. And a real change from the man who was at full back in the first half. And when he copped one for his trouble early on, he looked a very ill man, and he seemed to be pretty concerned about the way things were going. But since that shift to full forward has made a world of difference. And in this last quarter, Warby's confidence has soared. And Leo Pye says that's another one on the board. That's Warburton's second goal. And, well, I'm sure there'll be a few Murray Bombers supporters starting to pack up the Eskies now and leave the ground, because United are not going to lose this one. They've got it well and truly parcelled up after losing the first two games here today to Shepparton. And for those people who didn't hear, Shepparton won the thirds, 15 goals 13 to United 7-7. Shepparton won the seconds, 19-14 to United 16-13. That was a great rip. And in the first, of course, they lead 16 goals 21 United to Echuca 11 goals 6. He's all over now, Chris.
Yes, can't see Echuca getting back into it at this stage.
Back in the centre of the ground, and it's Brereton there for Echuca. Finds Tony Jones. Jones comes forward to take the mark back, but he's right in the centre. He's got a long way to go. Up goes big Kenner, and he pulls down the mark, but it's probably a bit too late for the Murray Bombers because the 20-minute mark has gone, and we find Shepparton United on 117 and Echuca 72. But Brian Kenner, Doc Kenner comes in, the Morrison medalist, kicks the ball a long way and has kicked a goal. Well done, Doc Kenner. That's his second goal today, and I think he's probably finding the heat a bit much too, Chris.
Well, he hasn't had to do a lot of running today, I suppose. He hasn't shown any signs of, fluid loss, no cramps or anything. So, he's probably got a little bit left in him yet. So, it'd be a true test of character if Echuca could get back into this game. But mighty big task.
Umpire Wayne Byers with the ball. Only on Friday he was putting up all the gear here for us at Channel 6 as he works as an electrician with Channel 6, and at the moment he's done a fine job umpiring. In fact, both umpires today, that was a lovely mark. I better mention that one to David Bruns. That was a beautiful mark. And John Jones comes out of defence. And on to Ray Smith, who's been fairly quiet in the second half of the game. A lot of experience, Smith, but he puts it over into the dead wing position, and it's over the boundary line. Just a comment on the umpires. Really, Chris, a great performance today.
Yes, one can't be critical of the umpires. I try not to be even at the worst of times, but they have done a good job in my book.
Right, the right forward pocket for Echuca as they're going forward, but they're a long, long way behind. Some 39 points trailing United at this stage, and would take a real miracle for them to get up. But still, they're trying hard, and here's Steve Brereton with a snapshot, goes very close to goal, but Bruce Fuller has it as he watches it go over the boundary line and out of bounds on the other side of the goals, and we await a throw.
16 goals, 21, 117, Shepparton United. Echuca 12 goals, 678. So United have got this game well won as Echuca have kicked the ball right into the post, and that's another point on the board for the Murray Bombers to take them to 12 goals, 7. We've played for about 22 and a half minutes into the final quarter, and some of the crowd starting to leave as they can see that Shepparton United are not going to lose their 4th premiership in 4 years. They are certainly going to win the 4th after they've lost 3 in succession. And good luck to the Demons, because they've played a great brand of football today as Warburton comes out and takes a fine mark, and the United supporters really let him know how much they love him up there on the 50-metre mark at the United end of the ground. Richard Warburton, a great full back, but has turned full forward later on this season, and has kicked the goals when they've been needed, but he's not going to kick this one. Adlam goes up in the air and he's taken a mark. Yes, the umpire says a big mark to Ross Adlam. As Chris Smith said before, when you're 6'7", it's very handy to have that sort of height in the full forward position. Ross Adlam, number 43, comes over from Bendigo to play with the Shepparton United club. Played with them a few years ago and went back to play in Bendigo, but eventually decided he liked the Goulburn Valley League better, and Adlam puts that on the board for his 3rd goal, and Shepparton United go to 17 goals, 21.
Well done, Ross Adlam. As we say, the luxury of having somebody up forward who's that size would be great to have in any team. Well, players looking pretty weary now, Chris. Just got the glasses on, some of them. But there's a smile on the face of Craig Blizzard, even though he's bending over. He's had a pretty tough day, but he's been quite a serviceable player. Chris Woodman there. Where's Gavin Kenner? I noticed that Peter Simons has been on Warby for the past few minutes. Or they're both down there, actually. They seem to be both on him. But, Peter Simons is with Adlam.
Kenner looks to be on Warburton.
But the last 2 times that Warburton's come out forward, Peter Simons has been the one who's followed him. So there's
might be doubling up at times.
Yes, they
covering.
could be at times.
Well, Patterson and Hicks once again in the van for United as it breaks away from the centre. Here's Hicks again. Over the hand pass it goes to Snaring. Back then to big Chris Woodman. Woodman drives towards goal, and Adlam is there, and Adlam's taken another mark. Well, there we are. Hardly got a kick in the first half of the game, and Adlam's come out and taken some fine marks in the final quarter, and he's going to put the last nail in the coffin now for the Echuca Football Club. We've been playing right on 25 minutes, and while Ross Adlam comes in to kick the goal, I just asked Chris Smith to give us a few pointers on who he thinks might take that $300 on behalf of Channel 6 and Guest Furniture.
Right. Well, there's no doubt that Jeff Berry's been a good player for Echuca today. I mean, he's been a real workhorse. I saw him go down with a recurring knee problem before, just about the full back position, and within 30 seconds he was down the opposite end of the ground. Now, he's been a good player, as has Ray Smith. And for United, I suppose Richard Warburton has come into the game in this last quarter, but they've had a good player in Jeff Hall in the back pocket. But Kevin Hicks, for mine, has been, a particularly damaging player, particularly after he's went into the centre. I think at half-time the change was made that shuffled Matt Stevens to full back and Gary Kiddo to centre half back and Hicks into the centre. But he's been has picked up a lot of kicks and given him a lot of drive out of the centre. But they've had a lot of strength in Ross side bottom as well. So they're my feelings at this stage.
I'd definitely put side bottom in as one of my very best players for...
well, that player that just kicked the ball now, in Dean Patterson, has had a heap of kicks on the forward line, and I think he's right in it there as well.
Yes.
And I think he's played very well. Can Echuca get the ball back now towards the centre of the ground? Side bottom gets underneath it. No, he doesn't. The ball goes over his head. Chris Ford is there. Coming forward is Brown. Picks the ball up with a right foot kick up towards centre half forward. Delidio gets under it. Matthew Stevens is there. No, it was big Doc Kenner. He couldn't take it. Stevens is going to break away with the ball. And we'll wait to see if it can be picked up on the outer side by Marcus Spencer. Spencer has the ball over the boundary line and out of bounds. He's kicked 4 goals today. There's Jock Spencer, and just taking it easy now in the last quarter over on the outer side. 18 goals, 21, 129 in the dying stages of the 87 grand final here at Deakin Reserve. That's Shepparton United score to Echuca's 12-7-79. We've been playing for 26 minutes in the final quarter. I should imagine there'll be at least 3 or 4 minutes of time on. Here's a chance for Warburton again to take the ball up the full forward position. Picked up by Snaring. Snaring's kick around. Adlam is there again and there's no one on him. We'll wait on the goal umpire to decide whether it was over. You know, he's leaving it to the central umpire. So it looks like it's Adlam's kick. Adlam's mark. And Adlam has the opportunity to put his 4th goal on the board. All kicked in this quarter for the big fellow who's done the job really well in this final quarter for the Demons. The umpire is putting him right out on the strip next to the fence as he runs around, kicks the ball on its way. The goal umpire says 1 behind, and that makes United score 18 goals, 22.
Well, I think Ross Adler must think it's his birthday down there at the moment in this last quarter. He seems to have marked everything that's come his way, and he's had a great last turn. Gavin Kenner kicks the ball out in the dying stages of the 1987 grand final, and we say big congratulations to United. As I say, they've lost their last 3 grand finals, and they've really deserved this one. They've worked hard, they've recruited well, they've brought their young players up, and they've done pretty well everything right.
And Sidebottom's still in there firing away as he punched the ball forward, but Echuca was able to get that ball moving there. Chasing it downfield on this occasion was Gary Simons up towards full forward, but Matthew Stevens stands there and takes a fine mark in defence. He's a great young player, this fellow, and Stevens kicks the ball out on towards the Spencer direction. Over it comes. Here's a chance now for Chris Ford. He's been a talented player today too. Ford boots the ball forward beautifully up towards the half-forward line, but it's the Echuca defence standing steady. Out they come through the skipper, Berry. Berry shoots it forward. No one home. Tony Jones can't take it. Here comes Bruce Fuller. Look out, the goose is coming down the ground. It's Georgie Trionitis over to Ford. Ford kicks the ball forward for United. Woodman gets underneath it and takes a mark out on the outer side. Gets a hand pass towards Richard Warburton, but it was ill-directed. They fall on top of the play, and the umpire's going to play a free kick, and it's going to go to Gavin Kenner for Echuca.
The full-back for Echuca comes forward, but Wayne Ford takes a very nice mark and streams forward for United again. And here's another very promising forward move, and Adlam on this occasion can't get it. In fact, I think he's kicked the post. I had the glasses on him then, and it did look as though he actually kicked the post, but it went through on the other side. And John Jones is going to take it out of defence for the Murray Bombers, and they're just going through the motions now as David Bruns has the ball for the Murray Bombers. He puts it over to where Gary Simons has it, takes a couple of bounces, favours the foot pass eventually, and there is Rowan Johnson on the half-forward line for the Murray Bombers. It's not far away from siren time here. They've played 30 minutes, 12 goals, 7 Echuca, 18 goals, 23 to Shepparton United. It's all over bar the shouting. We're only waiting for the siren.
2 minutes to go, Rod.
2 minutes.
There's a kick on its way for Echuca. And a goal in the dying stages of play for the Echuca Football Club. And let's have a look at the goal kickers for Shepparton United. Spencer has kicked 4. Greg Shering has kicked 2. 2 to Sidebottom, 2 to Warburton, and 3 to Ross Adlam. And for Echuca, 5 to Tony Jones, 2 to Brian Kenner. And they were the major goal kickers today. Looking at the best players, Chris, who would you give them to for each side?
Looking at Echuca, I think Johnny Jones has played a serviceable game at centre-half back. Tony Jones, with his 5 goals, has put in a sterling performance at full forward, although in the second half he has been quiet. Paul Brown in the first half, I suppose, with his marking and long kicking, was a good player. Ray Smith in the centre, and later in the game as a ruck rover, has picked up a lot of kicks. Berry, I suppose, for 4 quarters has been their most serviceable player on the United or in the United team. Bruce Fuller's played a very disciplined game out of the back pocket. Jock Spencer early in the game certainly vindicated his selection in the starting 18. Jeff Hall's played a magnificent game in the back pocket. Dean Patterson's picked up a lot of kicks as a half forward come rover. Ross Sidebottom has been a tower of strength in the ruck, and of course Kevin Hicks has been an exceptionally good player in the centre.
Well, we'll ask you now to give that vote as the game's about to finish, Chris, for $300 from Guest Furniture on behalf of the Channel 6 commentary team. And your selection?
Well, my selection for the $300 would have to go to Kevin Hicks.
Well, congratulations, Kevin Hicks and Shepparton United. Hicksy's certainly been a very talented player right across the centre, roving up onto the forward line, creating opportunities and doing very well. Echuca have the ball in their forward line at this stage with less than a minute of play to go. Here's a chance for the Echuca side to score again through Rowan Johnson. And Johnson has actually kicked a goal, so they're coming back in the last couple of moments to make them 14 goals, 7. But Shepparton United are 18 goals, 23, 131 points to 14 goals, 7, and that'll make them 91 points.
Some statistics on the top kick getters. Hicks has 19, Patterson has 21, and Schneering 16 for United. Berry has 16, John Jones 14, and Ray Smith for Echuca. They were all in the best players for each side, so you've done well, Smithy. And in the kick department, well, United ended up with 241 to 190 so far, and 64 to 41 marks, 64 to 52 handballs. So United clearly on top here. Unfortunately, we're going to have to leave you very shortly because the game, unfortunately, did stay late. It did start late here today, and so we may have to cross directly after the siren, but we will be here until the siren, and there it is. And it's a United Premiership. Shepparton United have won their 8th premiership since the club was first formed way back in the early 1950s or late 1940s. It was then known as the City United Football Club. They then changed their name several years ago to the Shepparton United Club, and they've won 18 goals, 23, 131 to Echuca, 14 goals, 7, 91. We'll be back to wrap up after the break. Well, that's the final scoreboard for the Goulburn Valley Grand Final for 1987. A big win to Shepparton United in the end, 18 goals, 23, 131, defeating the game and plucky Murray Bombers from Echuca, 14 goals, 7, 91. You can see there was only a 10-point lead by Shepparton United at three-quarter time, but they really did it well in the last quarter. And our comments man today, Chris Smith, big congratulations go to them.
Yes, they have played well. I mean, they beat Echuca in 3 quarters, although it was pretty even in the second, but to have 24 scoring shots to Echuca's 8 in the second half really meant the difference between the two teams. Had they been more accurate in their road to goal, the difference at the end obviously would have been a lot greater, but just goes to show that they were at the better side on the day. They were ahead well in the kick department, some 50-odd kicks statistic-wise ahead in the kick department, and 20-odd marks. Handballs once again on top there, and in the ruck division as well. So all over the ground they've been in front. And
our best player today is judged by the commentary team and led by Chris Smith with that judgment, and a very, very difficult one too goes to Kevin Hicks. The half-forward flanker for Shepparton United had a reasonably quiet first half, but moved into the centre in the second half and really did help sparkle United along in the second half. Don, I know we've seen Richard Warburton play football ever since he was a youngster, and isn't it great to see him being cheered off the ground there as a homegrown boy who's come back to the club he loves after one season coaching in another league, and he's led his team to a grand final premiership today. A great performance.
Well, he's done the job, Rod, and of course he had that the problem of being a coach of a team who had lost the last 3 premierships, and here he was leading his team into the 4th grand final in succession, and obviously certainly didn't want to lose the grand final today, but led his team very well, and he had those great young players like Chris Smith has mentioned, who have led United well to this grand final, and they must be congratulated on their performance to win the game so well. So it was a great performance by Shepparton United. They thoroughly deserved to win the game. Commiserations to Echuca. I thought that they performed pretty well, particularly until half-time. They played the game right out, and it was unfortunate for them that they ran out of puff, and United were able to get back in front. Of course, with Big Adlam at full forward, kicking those goals in the last line in the last quarter, then I thought that Echuca certainly should be congratulated for the job that they've done.
I just saw something that it's great to see in a grand final. You probably only see it in that Bruce Fuller came along and gave his president, Ian Marrett, a big kiss and a big hug. That's the way that United are at the moment. That's the way that they feel. So great win to Shepparton United, and we'll clear commitments and then come forward, come back to just wrap up our broadcast here in just a moment.
And that's how Shepparton United have finished up on the grandstand, receiving the cup for the premiership for 1987. And we hope you've enjoyed our broadcast and telecast today from Channel 6 on behalf of Brother Rod and also Chris Smith and Ian Fitzsimmons, our statistician. I hope you've enjoyed the action direct from Deakin Reserve Shepparton. Barry Conley, the president of the league, handing the premiership trophy, the Hasty Cup, over to Richard Warburton, who will be very pleased to receive the trophy as premiers in 1987 in Goulburn Valley League football. This has been Don Kilgour for Channel 6 Sport.